and welcome to our episode of Damsels After Dark, where we, your lovely hosts, dive into a book each week from cover to cover to analyze, rant, obsess, all of it. This week we read Kingdom of the Curse. Like the first book on Amazon and Goodreads, it had really good reviews. This review contains spoilers, so if you don't want this book's secrets revealed to you, please do not watch. Without further ado, let's dive into it.
So I'm going to read an abbreviated version of the description that was on Goodreads and Amazon reviews. After selling her soul to become Queen of the Wicked, Amelia travels to the Seven Circles with the enigmatic Prince of Wrath, where she's introduced to a seductive world of vice. She vows to do whatever it takes to avenge her beloved sister Vittoria, even if that means accepting the hand of the Prince of Pride, the King of Demons. Amelia will be tested in every way as she seeks a series of magical objects that will unlock the clues of her past and the answers she craves.
Ooh.
Sounds very interesting.
Just like the first one.
Just like the first one. So
okay.
It does begin this time, as it did last time.
With a prologue.
With a prologue.
Yeah. Sometime before. So it doesn't really give us specified time, so that's not really helpful.
Which has been kind of a gripe through, everything's kind of unclear for the first one. Still no timeline stamp here.
Yeah.
But one thing that I will say about this prologue is it took me by surprise because the writing was really good. I loved this prologue.
Yeah, it was really good, really enticing, really intriguing, and it really kind of puts you into a good reading mode for this book because that last book, man.
The writing on the last book, I hated the writing.
Yeah.
And we sort of mentioned it that the writing was bad. It felt like two people were writing the book. And then this one opens up and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we jumped into this one back to back. So there was no waiting. At least for me, I finished the first one and dove right into the second one and was blown away by this entrance. And we're greeted with a woman.
A woman sitting on a throne and a king going into the throne room very, very, very angry that she's presently there.
Yes. And I like that she's sort of she attempts to seduce him.
Sort of. And then she realizes it's not working.
He was quick to shut that down real quick.
Immediately.
But then they have a sort of back and forth banter about he didn't help her.
He didn't help her, and she's just gonna take something away from him now.
Mm-hmm.
He says this day forward a curse will sweep through your land. You forget all but your love, or all but your hate. All your love, kindness, and everything good in your world will cease. One day you will change, and you will know true happiness. I vow to take that from you as well, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she does this, she slices her hand and walks around him as she's doing this. So it's like a blood oath, a blood curse.
Yeah, and I think right before this too, or maybe after this, with the blood, doesn't she slice her throat?
She slices her throat. I thought it was her hand.
I think she holds the dagger up and then she slices it. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I was like, oh, this is a bad bitch.
Yeah, she lets him cut her.
Yeah, and she's wearing this silky
white. I think it's white.
It was a silky white gown.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
And it just pools the blood. Oh, this imagery was great.
She's walking around him as this blood is pooling, and she pretty much says
her curse.
Yeah,
and then
he says something about the devil being nasty or whatever, and he says the devil may be nasty, but he doesn't perform tricks. He bargains.
Yeah. Well, and even before she does the full curse, she snaps her fingers and some wings disappear. Some mighty weapons that he uses as his
favorite things, apparently.
Yeah, it's his wings that he uses as weapons, which is a little unclear. But she just comes up and snaps her fingers,
and they're gone.
And then she walks around, and that's the blood offering to what I took as the blood offering for the spell to get rid of his wings. Then she says what this curse is, which, I mean, all of the last book revolved around this mysterious curse. So I'm assuming that
this is the curse. And the wings have taken are some kind of, favorite thing he has, and now he's trying to bargain to get them back. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't say what the bargain is. He just says the devil likes to bargain. Mm-hmm. So it's almost assumed that this king is the devil. So it seems it's safe to assume at this point that
Maybe it's pride.
Yeah, maybe we just know that this man who is the king is possibly the devil, and this could be the first witch.
Mm-hmm.
This could be the curse, but they don't even explain why she's cursing him yet.
No.
They don't say that either. They just said this is the day of the curse, pretty much is what's happening.
Yeah, we get a glimpse into the birth of the curse. And, I can't explain how much I love this part.
Yeah, it's a good prologue.
It was so good. It felt, that we go from this really crappy writing book and then we snap into this just action-packed moment, tense. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, it was really great. Like the whole idea of that, she wasn't phased by his anger, his threats. Like she was like, "Oh, I'm going to use your anger and your threats to create my own curse.
I'm gonna slash my neck upon
I'm
your throat, or on your neck upon your dagger. Snap my fingers and take your most precious weapon, and then I'm gonna curse you."
Yeah, it was great. So then, right after that, we're continuing to the end of the first book, where Amelia and Wrath are now dropped into this void area right after being in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in this void and they're having this like kind of very brief banter back and forth, but it's nothing like Wrath is pretty much ignoring her. He's not having any of her crap. And so they get through the void and he's explaining that this is a place where nobody can go but I guess the princes. Like this is like no one really can do anything in this void. It's just a weird.
It's kind of like an in between before you enter the gates of hell,
and the sin corridor,
wherever they left.
Yeah. So they get to the void. It's not very long. They get to the void. They get to the gates of hell, and this is where she has a moment with Wrath about who she's freely choosing. She decides that she wants to freely choose the devil. And the word choosing is very important here because she doesn't say anything about pride. She just says, "I choose the devil." And so she slices her hand. This is a very common theme with her. She got to have a lot of scars. But she slices her hand and she squeezes it near the gates of hell and pretty much says, "I, Amelia, freely choose the devil." And he says, "You better watch how you keep making bargains with the devil because what's his is his."
What's his is his.
And so,
yeah, I like this a little bit right before this too, though. I just want to comment. I'm so confused as to her anger at him. I don't understand it. And right before she says this, she's having internal thoughts, calling him the mighty demon of war and betrayer of my soul. And
she just constantly thinks that he screwed her over.
Yeah,
she made that bargain, not him.
I don't understand. And she's thinking of this in the beginning, in this part right here. She's thinking of this right up until she makes her blood oath to the devil.
That's the reason why she did it, because he was like, she felt like she was proving something to him by his betrayal. It's almost like she's using that as to show him that
being spiteful.
Yeah, but it's like, you're the reason why
for betraying me.
And this exact oath that you're thinking you're swearing again is the reason why in my opinion, she betrayed Wrath.
Because if we recall from the first book, they made an alliance. He got stabbed and sent back down to hell. Had no recovery time when she was trying to call him back up. Then she just decided on a whim that she was going to marry Pride. And then the next second, we're here with them, and she's calling him a betrayer. Like, I just don't understand this.
So they get to the gates of hell, and now they're what they call the sin corridor. And he explains it to her that this is a place where all the sins she'll be tempted by all the sins, and that she thought it was hard before. It's going to be tenfold. It's going to be worse. She's going to experience it on a level she never experienced it before. And Amelia being her, she thinks, "Oh, how hard could it be?" So they go through it, and she experiences.
I like this part. I like the comment of the sin corridor. I like this idea that she has to be tested for these sins to see how she's going to be in. She even asks, "I've already said I'm going to be House Pride. What does it matter?" And he's just like, "Well, you have to do it anyways." But this idea that she's going to be tested with different things, sort of foreshadowing events for her. But of course, she's Amelia, so she doesn't heed any of the warning that he's giving her.
Attention. She don't listen to anything he says, even though this is now hell and she has no experience in it whatsoever. Well, sorry, the sin corridor. And she has no experience in it whatsoever, and she refuses to listen to him. He tells her that there's 3 rules in the sin corridor, and I only know of the 2. I don't remember the third. But the first one is don't reveal your true fears. The second is control your desires, or they will taunt you with illusions. Easily confused with reality. And the third one, I'm not really sure. I just be cautious, I guess. I don't really know what the third one was. I can't remember. But yeah, so those are very important. So
But he also notes that most mortals don't reach the sin quarter, that they sort of
yes, that's not fair
exile themselves
to their own
on,
health.
yeah, which was
Of
called
choosing.
the
I don't think they say yeah. He
a
doesn't.
separate isle outside of the gates of the
Yeah.
western, prison of damnation, she asks, and he says no, it's sort of a prison of their own making, where they just sort of go there instead of, because they can't make it through the sin corridor, or
Yeah,
they
I
just
think they
don't.
call it the shifting aisles, but he calls it the aisles right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so they go through the sin corridor. She's experiencing different emotions. So like she's experiencing I don't know what she experiences first. But it's very like he's just pretty much telling her that she needs to like get through this. I think at one point she gets through a prideful moment where she's just like, "Oh, I could do this. I can get through this. This is just a little bit of winter." And her bodice, by the way, she's still wearing that same dress, and
The
where,
metal bodice.
yeah, where she's got that metal bodice. I think he gives her a cape, but it's not that much.
Yeah, he does give her, right before they enter the gates of hell.
Yeah, he gives her a cape, but it's like it's nothing. Like she's still very cold. It's very icy, very stormy there,
which is different than what she expected.
She thought was
she expected fire and brimstone, and she gets there and it's cold and icy. And he even says to her during this time, mortals have particular tales and cautionary warnings that are inaccurate. And so I think this is a great callback to, again, Amelia still having these ideas of what she was told from Nona, and she's still bringing that in here. I mean, this is sort of a smaller one. It's really not that big of a deal. But again, it's the same mindset. Like,
she's just not changing. She's in hell for all that. You know, like, and you're still thinking of the same things. Like, haven't you realized that none of that stuff?
And he's still telling her the same, like, girl, everything you've been told is not true. Did you think about that? Do you think about that? It's not been true.
A prince of darkness in hell, she don't want to listen to. In his own home, she don't want to listen to.
Well, one, he betrayed her, so she does not listen to him anymore. She's so annoying. She's keeping her same. Any hopes that I had previously for her maturing a little bit are already falling by the wayside. But yeah, so they're going into the corridor. She's preparing, I guess, for the corridor at this point. She's walking in, and he like you said, he's been preparing her for
all the different,
warning her, but we know she's not going to listen because she doesn't listen. She might be being tested for something. I don't remember.
I want to say it was pride, because the whole like, you know, I don't care if it's cold, I can get through this. And then I want to even say she experiences less like sporadically through it, but then, you know, he's pretty much telling her like, we need to camp.
I like that you picked up on that, because I certainly did not pick up on that.
I did.
The only instance that I picked up on was the instance.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I got that she was being tested.
No, I did, because she's still looking at him. Like they talk about it in the book a little bit, where she's like glancing at him, looking at him, kind of analyzing him. And in my opinion, that's what she did in the first book. And that's what, you know, it's very close to when you're analyzing someone, you're looking at them that way. It's almost like you already are feeling and experiencing that, but you're not. Yeah. You're not wanting to tell yourself the true reason why you're doing that. Yeah. So I feel like it. And being in the sin corridor, it's almost like she kind of talks about it a little bit, but not as much. Right now, she's going through her pride moments, in my opinion.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, like I said, I didn't catch that. It just felt like Amelia being Amelia to me. Like, but that's also what I liked about this sort of magic in the first book, is that it was so under the radar that it did come off sometimes as her own feelings, that these were stemming from her. So the fact that I didn't pick up on that was a miss for me, but also really good for the author, because she was being tested. Yeah. And less overtly than I initially anticipated that it was going to happen. I did expect it to be like in my face. And it felt very lackluster right here. Like, except for the main scene. Yeah. What happens?
Yeah, it's not very far off, because like as soon as he camps, she's like, why do we gotta camp? And he's like, well, do you want to die out here or something like that? And it's like
a storm is on its way.
Like, it's really cold here, haven't you noticed? And she's shivering and she's cold, but she doesn't want to recognize it. So that's, in my opinion, that's her pride showing through.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So like you were saying, it's really hard to notice unless you're like really looking at it. But like he's already told her, you're going to be tested for each and every one of these, and she's being like this. So in my opinion, it is her sins coming through. Yeah. So while they're camping, she's still prideful about how she's treating him, and being very stubborn and treat that, you know, he's a betrayer, blah, blah, blah. So she's like hating on him. And then they kind of like put themselves in a position where he's like building this little, I don't know, fort, or like, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
Like
Like
a little
out of
area.
sticks or
Yeah,
something.
like I don't know. I don't really know. This is really weird. Like
all I know is he took off his blazer and his shirt
Gave
and he
it to
started,
her.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
totally.
he starts, and he tells her to go pick up branches for them to sleep on or something. So she goes and picks up some branches.
I was just like, this is dumb. This part was just like, okay, why? I don't know. Anyways, I feel like it's a setup for what's about to happen.
No, and that's the thing is that this felt very like stereotypical. Like
it
it's
was
the
set up.
forced, yeah, it's the forced
It's the setup.
it's the trope of, oh, there's only one bed that they can sleep in. What are they gonna do? It's like it's amateur.
It's very obvious.
It's very obvious what's gonna happen. It feels very obvious
Yes,
what's gonna happen.
it feels very obvious.
I was pleasantly surprised.
I was too, because what happens is that she thinks they're laying down next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were
laying down next to each other. And at one point in time she kind of drifts off into sleep. And she goes, I don't remember the whole thing.
She does
drooling.
I mean, if ever there was a scene to be drooling at, this is the one.
Oh my god, I love this part.
So yeah, she does drift off to sleep. They're sleeping against each other. I think she even notes that she could like feel his warmth.
I feel his warmth.
And so she does say, I feel his warmth. She drifts off sometime in the middle of the night. Something wakes her up.
Yeah, something wakes her up.
Then they start canoodling. I mean, I think she's like rubbing up against him.
Yeah,
and
he's unbuttoning her shirt, and she's like breathing heavy, and he's just like, "Oh my god, we got to read from this part. I can't quote that, please. Quote it."
I mean, it's a lot to quote. This is a good. I'm not gonna lie, this is a good scene.
I can't. It's my favorite.
Yeah, and so yeah, they're laying down. She is thinking dirty and shameful things.
I don't say shameful.
Well, she's thinking that. I mean, she even says,
yeah.
"Oh, our once were dirty, shameful things."
Whatever. It's not shameful.
He says, "Your heart is beating very fast." His mouth grazes her earlobe. She arches to his touch. She can feel his arousal.
Yeah.
I do like this quote from her before action starts taking place. She says, "Perhaps the only approval I would seek from now on is my own. To hell, quite literally, with all else." Hello, Amelia. Wow, like she came out of nowhere here.
Yeah.
So I like that, and then they get into is where he whispers your favorite quote.
Yeah, my favorite of all time.
Which is, "Tell me," he whispered, his voice sliding like silk over my flesh skin. "What?" My own voice came out breathless. Oh, I'm sorry. I said, "What?" "I am your favorite sin."
I love it.
Which is a good line.
It's
a good line.
It's my favorite line. Only to be discovered.
Wait. So she's having these feelings. They get pretty far.
They get really far. He's unbuttoning her shirt.
He's touching
her everywhere.
Yeah, the hand is slipping down. It's going between the
everywhere.
legs. Right before he touches.
Right before he climaxes. She climaxes. I think he gets really like in with her.
Are you nervous? Hardly. Tell me. I'd rather show him. Say it once, please. Here we go. One of his hands remained locked on my hip and the other went under my skirts. As his tongue claimed mine. His fingers were almost to the slick, aching center.
Okay.
I needed him there. I groaned his name as he finally...
Yes.
And then he like clears his throat from the corner.
He did. That wasn't real. It wasn't real.
He says, "While your illusion sounds wildly interesting, you might want to put your clothes on. The temperature is well before below freezing." This is the best part.
This is my favorite.
I've never pulled out of a book so fast and laughed. Like
I know, I loved it.
Like, because immediately you're like, "Wait, why is he on the other side of the
What happened? Did he transvendio over there?
Did he freak out? He was like almost there, and then he was like, wait. And then the secondhand embarrassment I experienced for her. Oh my god! But also, like, I don't like her, so
I don't either. Like, that's why she deserved it. In my opinion, she doesn't deserve any of that.
No,
but she's calling him a betrayer. She's doing all this other shit. So, like, when that time came, I was like, good. You don't deserve that.
I'm laughing at her.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, that's embarrassing. And because we have to also establish the whole time, he's taunting her.
Yes.
Even in the first book, he's been taunting her. And she's just like, "Never, I don't like you. You're horrible, you're a betrayer, you're gross, you're evil." And then here she is showing her true colors.
She really wants him
she tries to blame it on like, "Oh, I was being tested for lust." But
he tells her pretty much that these are your emotions being tested. Your emotions being tested.
If they didn't exist, even a sliver of this, then there would be nothing there for it to like pull from. So man, this is a great scene.
That's my favorite.
And it's again, Carrie's really good at sliding you into a reality that's not a real reality. Again, with the magic. Here she's doing it here and then pulling you out. Oh, it was great. Yeah. Oh, this was phenomenal.
So it's right after that, I know it's hard to get past that part, but after you do, and they start wandering through the Sin Corridor more. So it starts to get to the point where she is having a hard time walking through the icy realm, and she can't do it anymore, and she's pretty much falling. And so Wrath just decides to just take her and pretty much save her because she's going through hypothermia.
Yeah, she struggles. Yeah, through this, and it is maybe it is her pride kind of.
Yeah, it is her pride. Definitely her pride.
Pushing her through this, which was really great. I mean, she showed she's kind of like tough. She got it right up until she couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah, it was
definitely her ego. Her ego was pushing her through it until she couldn't.
Yeah, and he was getting kind of mad too. Maybe not at her, but just the fact that like
she was pretty much like being prideful about it because he was trying to help her through it, and she was just pretty much like, "No, I can do this. It's just a little snow the whole time."
And again, he even says to her like right after, your longings will taunt and tease you into oblivion if you can't control them. This is like the third time he's saying to her. Yeah. Not in this book, but just in general, the third time, hey, you need to control your emotions. You need to get them under control, or else it's going to be your undoing. But also, to go back to the main one, we also skipped over the fact that he says after that thing happens, after the illusion happens, he says, one thing I can promise you, his voice goes back, is you won't ever doubt when it's real when I touch you. Yeah. I don't know how she emotionally recovered from this because I would have died right there.
I think it's great. I loved it. I wanted her to die in that moment. She should have. She should have died right there.
Died of embarrassment.
Yeah, and that's her own fault, and I don't care.
But as you mentioned, she does not die. She perseveres. She makes it through. She does pass out. I think she meets doesn't she come across like a hound dog for a minute and he like jokes about it?
And tells her it's a puppy.
Yeah, and then she does make it. She passes out right at like the entrance of something, and
he takes her
and he like opens up the mountain.
Yeah, opens the mountain
and picks her up. Oh, she's like, I can do it. I do like this thing. She's like, I can do it. And before she even like makes it 2 feet, and he's like swept her off her feet and taken her up.
This girl.
I
can't.
I would have said it right away. I can't do it. I think you're gonna have to carry me.
I would have got there and been like, hey, look, just carry me.
Just carry me.
He wouldn't even have to ask.
No.
In fact, I would have even had been transvendioed from the first book.
There's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened to me here. But okay.
But that's what she gets that lust vision for.
That is the punishment for all of her nonsense.
She should have been punished over and over and over. Anyways, she is swept off by Wrath into an area where she is going to pretty much recoup.
Also, he says before. Sorry, I keep jumping back and forth. But he also says before this, before that have I told you angers my own aphrodisiac, which we learn because I think that comes into play a little bit later. We know that. I mean, we've known that he kind of pulls that power. And that it makes him stronger. But I don't know that we've known that it kind of turns him on, too.
Yeah. It, especially with her. I mean, that's...
I don't know why. It's
so weird. Yeah. Why her? I don't know. But
yeah, so they make it into the corridor. He brings her up to a room.
To a room. And she realizes, oh, shit, I'm no longer in the Sin Corridor. I'm in a nice room. This, she believes at the time, is probably Pride's house. Yeah. Because she thinks that's where he's taking her. So... she wakes up and asks him if she's at Pride. He's at Pride. She's at Pride. And he says, no, we have to be invited. And we're not invited yet. And she goes, well, where are we? And he says, House Wrath.
Yes. I do want to mention one more thing as well. I'm sorry. But because when he picks her up, as they're walking down the corridor, she says to him, I thought you said that you wouldn't pick me up or you wouldn't help me.
That's
and
right.
he says to her, I lied. Well, she says, I think I heard I lied.
Yeah, and she doesn't really know if he said that.
And my thing from the beginning of the book is I don't know that he can't lie. So the fact that he says that he lied,
that's what she thinks she heard, but I'm pretty sure he said that.
I'm gonna go with the fact that he said it.
And I think he could lie, maybe not have lied in the place that they were, but I think he could lie when he's in.
Oh, see, I thought it was the marriage bond that was the reason that he couldn't lie.
No, I think it was just he couldn't lie because he was in that summoning circle.
So once he was out of the summoning circle,
I think he could. Oh, okay. And I think he especially could that he's in hell.
But he also said that he wasn't going to come rescue her from the Viper Demon, and he comes and rescues her.
Yeah, but see, after that, he was out of the summoning circle. He could have done whatever he wanted. He may have not lied at the beginning, but then that's fuck it.
I still think he can lie,
Yeah.
and this I
definitely
highlighted
know he
this
can lie.
because I feel like he lied.
Yeah.
So you can
Well,
lie.
the thing is in the as the book goes on, he does admit he lies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he does, but
Maybe
he lies
not.
through a different way though. He doesn't lie outright or straightforward. He lies in a different manner. So
By omission.
Yeah, omission and something else.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so what ends up happening is, yeah, he tells her he can't be invited. He can't go to prides because she's got to be invited, and they have this little thing where the princess can't go into the other person's realm without invitation because it's this not unspoken. It's a spoken rule that they can't for whatever reason. I can't remember. It's just like I don't really know. They never really said why they can't go from place to place.
I think it's just the politics. Like you can't just show up on somebody else's land and uninvited. I think it's just like rude politics.
So yeah, so she thinks. So he tells her, "Yeah, I can't because we're not invited, so you can't. We're in house wrath."
Yeah, we're waiting for Pride to overcome his pride. I don't know, to send for her. But also, I think at this point too, he sort of reveals that like, oh, he may have other lovers with you in the bed, and she sort of freaks out.
Yeah, she gets really weird about it. But then the first day she's there, she gets this weird skull in the room.
Oh, yeah. They have their banter. He leaves.
Yeah. Well, actually, let me go back a little bit. She is met by Anir.
Yes, she does meet Anir.
Yeah, he brings her food from the human realm, she says. And they have like this little dinner. She starts asking him random questions, and he's like, Jesus Christ, you're just too much. Like, calm the fuck down. Like,
bringing that toddler energy to book too.
Let's just eat first, you know?
Eat first, let's have a drink.
She hasn't done anything. She hasn't ate anything, and she doesn't want to, like, come on. Like, have dinner.
Yeah, and
you spoke of food so much in the first book, and you don't want to eat now?
We didn't even mention that was a hated part in the first book.
I hated it.
But it does not happen in this book, so that's nice.
But yeah, so she eats with him, and they have a talk, and after he leaves, there's a skull on the bed. On the bed or table? I don't remember. There's a skull.
I think it appears on her bed.
And it just starts talking in her sister's voice. And it
says...
I can't say that word. Angelus mortis lives. Angelus mortis lives. And then she got inches from it, and the voice sounded like her twin. Fine hair rolled up on her arm. And then it said, "Faerie, almost free, maiden, mother, crone, past, present, future, find." I don't understand that right at that moment. It's a very weird thing to put in a skull.
And it's weird that it sounds like her sister's voice.
It sounds like a very different shade of her sister's voice. Something very similar. But yeah, so after that, she's just like, oh, this is weird. But she just, I think, shoves it in the closet.
Yeah, she hides it behind her dresses.
This isn't weird.
He's fully stocked her closet full of beautiful dresses.
And she puts the skull in there with
and she hides it.
You know, every girl needs a skull in her closet. A talking one. With prophecies.
That sounds like your sister. Which is really weird.
So, they have I think after that, Wrath takes her on a tour of the house, of the mansion. And he shows her his libraries, a haven and hell, but the hell is the first one he shows her, and then he takes her to his private library, which is haven, and I think
is hell.
Is it hell?
The top part is haven. The colorful part is haven.
Yeah, so he takes her to hell, which is his private library. I forgot which one.
I don't think he takes her. His private library is hell.
Okay.
I don't think he takes her there right away.
He takes her there after the skull. What I don't know happens between the skull and the library, I don't remember, because I feel like it was just her being Amelia. Yeah,
but they talk about the
They talk about all that in the library. He tells her stuff in the library. She starts asking stupid questions again. Because she goes, naming your library's haven and hell is dramatic enough to suit you, I suppose. And then they go into the hosting of, that's where he tells her about the feast of wolves that's introduced in there. So it's really weird.
So she does find, you're right. Yeah, she does find that haven. They talk about hell, the libraries, and then they talk about the Feast of the Wolves.
Yeah, all up in that library. They have this whole conversation. Yeah, they have a whole massive conversation. And I think at this point, too, she starts looking at books and happens to find
this spell or
this thing that talks about her magic.
Or talks about magic in general. Yeah. And she's learning, and she's reading it and learning about some source of magic, but then when she looks into herself, she's finding something a little bit different than what's described
Yeah.
inside the book. She talks about it being this like endless well, and when she sort of touched it internally, it opened its eye and looked
Yeah,
back at
she
her.
felt that inside her, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It was a weird thing. I was just like, what? How did this
Mhm.
just happen to be? But before
Mhm.
that, like when he was talking to her about the Feast of Wolves, uh no, it didn't tell her about the Feast of Wolf yet. He just said that his brothers, I think Envy and Greed invited her. That's what it was. It
Yeah.
wasn't the Feast of Wolves yet.
That
It
they
was they
both
invited
know
her
that she
there.
everybody knows that, well, they know that
She's
she's
there,
there. They've
and they invited
invited
her
her to come.
and stay.
Mhm.
So she knows about that. And so then, yeah, I mean, does she accept? No, she doesn't accept anybody's invite yet. She just
No.
kind of like traipses around,
But
goes to
they
the library, finds that source thing.
Yeah, and they do. Yeah, he does lightly mention the Feast of the Wolves. She meets Fauna right after that,
Oh yeah,
and then Fauna talks about how Wrath has given orders because some of the lords are misbehaving. Two of the lords have misbehaved. Well, maybe just one. Lord Macedon
yeah.
has misbehaved, and so Wrath has given orders, and everybody knows not to like badmouth you.
Oh yeah. There's also something important too, that she's been having visions of like who she doesn't know if they're memories or not.
Mm-hmm.
So while she's going through the house and she's going to the libraries and stuff, she's starting to like, these bed sheets look familiar. This
Mm-hmm.
looks like she's starting to
Like
think
deja
that,
vu.
yeah, and she's
Mm-hmm.
just like, I don't know if this is memory or so that's why she starts to go to the library again and starts to find source because she's starting to think something's going on with her and she might be the first witch.
Mm-hmm.
She's starting to have these thoughts that she's not who she is.
Yeah.
Immediately when she gets there.
Yeah. And she also goes down when she's in the library. She does find a note.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Mhm.
yes, yeah. She
Mhm.
finds that note where it says, "Brother, they have been found,"
Mhm.
and this is important too because it's got the Roman numeral 8
Yes.
with a G next to it,
Mhm.
and so that's in my opinion that's important. But like you don't really find out why yet for a very long time. I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, she kind of just like it's kind of just like swept under the rug.
Just
for a very
add
long
that to
time.
your mystery
Yeah.
pile of things to discover later down the
Yeah.
line. And then right towards the end of that, she does towards the end of chapter 8, she finds she gets a second skull.
Oh, is that when she gets the 2nd
Mhm.
skull? Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's on a glass table.
Yep. Mhm. And I don't remember what that one says to her.
It says 7 stars, 7 sins, as above, so below.
Mhm.
That's really it.
And I think she quickly assumes 7 brothers or 7, like I don't know. She quickly decides she knows what it's semi talking
She
about.
thinks she knows immediately.
And then doesn't Wrath tell her eventually after this that he has a dinner planned and he's going to introduce her to his court.
Yeah.
And he's gonna send a dress.
Yeah.
He sends a dress.
Yeah, he sends a dress. He always sends a dress.
He always sends a dress.
Let's send the most beautiful dresses.
And I'm going to introduce you.
Yeah, pretty much introduce you. So she thinks this is a dinner welcoming their queen to be.
Yes.
And he introduces her pretty much to everybody as Lady Amelia and that she's the queen betrothed or whatever. And so she's, there's no reason to believe that she's not,
Yeah, he has been saying that. And he also says like my queen and stuff, which sounds a lot like
times he'll say my lady,
my queen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's under the impression definitely that she's going to be a queen ruler of hell.
Mm-hmm. But because she thinks she's betrothed to the devil himself, Pride.
Yeah.
And then so he sends a dress to her. She gets dressed, and it's like a super sultry dress.
Yeah, and
Fauna comes and meets her at the door, and then they're having a conversation. Of course, she's like, "Is Wrath? Or she's thinking about Wrath, and then boom, he appears.
Yeah, he just comes out of nowhere. And what does he tell her? That she's a beautiful cataclysm or something?
Yeah. They're having
like that.
She's likening their connection to like a storm. And as if he reads her mind, that's what he says to her, that she looks like a beautiful cataclysm.
Yeah, I think he even puts on the amulet too.
Yeah, he does give her the amulet to wear, and she's like, will they know? And he's like looking around like,
who's gonna come here?
Who's gonna tell me no?
Yeah. And then something about her, like he's just asking her questions about, how she feels about this or that, and he calls her a liar and like pretty much calls her out for her not feeling lust for him, and so
he slyly tricks her.
Oh yeah, that's
what
right.
he says to her is he basically sets her up and says,
Yeah.
"And tell me that you hate me, that I'm your worst
Yes.
enemy. Better yet, tell me that you don't want to kiss me." And of
Yes.
course, he can sense her lies.
So she
she walked right into this trap.
Yeah. And she knew that right then and there that she definitely wanted him.
Because she says it. She
Yeah.
lies.
She
says,
lie.
"Fine, I don't want to kiss you."
She's
And
so
immediately
stupid.
he knows. She's so stupid. When are you going to learn your lesson?
Yeah, and I think they do. They make out, don't they? I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
I
they
think
have a hot makeout session.
So dumb she is. I fucking hate her.
And it's funny because he does do the liar.
Liar, yeah.
It's funny though because he
calls
calls
word in this whole book.
It is his favorite word. He calls out every lie, so you would think at some point she would.
She doesn't. She's so Amelia.
He even says to her in the first book, like, "That's the fourth time you've lied to me, witch."
Yeah, why are you lying to me? Like, stop it. Like, I don't know how you could trust her ever. Well, I mean, other than he could sense her lying emotions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he does. They have a hot makeout session, and then I believe does she have a I think he just pulls away. He pulls away and he said we have to go.
Yeah, because she says something and he's just like kind of taken back by it, and so.
And it's interesting at this point too because again she still thinks that she's betrothed to Pride, so in her mind she's having this war back and forth like, oh no, what's gonna happen if I make out with Wrath while I'm betrothed to his brother.
Like, well, if he can have other people, so can I, because Wrath told her that he will take any woman to bed, and so pretty much paints that picture that he's just gonna do whatever he wants. And so she's now like, well, then I guess I could take a lover too. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, they have a tattoo both on their arms still
growing
of the betrothed tattoo. So it's like, okay, is this a thing? Are they still? Who's betrothed here? Are you betrothed? Like,
and she just decided in book 1 that she released him from the spell, and then therefore it is no more. And she's just blindly
going with her stupid thoughts.
She's like ignoring the fact that it's growing. She's looking at it. She's seeing that it's growing, and she's like, that means nothing. It's fine. I'm just going to ignore it. Then I love their entrance into this dinner. So we have this
my favorite
refined Prince of War.
Very good at holding his emotions and able to really hone in on his sin of wrath. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here he comes. What does he do? He busts down the door!
Are you ready?
He busts down that door!
Busts the door open with he kicks the door in.
Here, I don't need to be composed anymore.
Like, this is right akin to him, like, yelling liar and, like, running out of the room. It's just things that are so anti his personality. And there's no reason for this.
And
like,
then, you know what he does? He walks in there like he just busts down the goddamn door.
Like, he didn't do nothing. He's like, and here we are, your queen. Like, he's all I can't. Composed again. Like, he didn't just kick open a door. And at least she comments on it. She's like, oh, that was... I wasn't expecting that.
I don't remember. I was just like, whatever, this is ridiculous.
And I don't know what's going on here.
So yeah, so they get into dinner and then like he tells everybody pretty much to like mind their mouths about how they speak to her and they will address her a certain way.
Because again, we already learned from Fauna earlier that some lords have been acting up and he's had to give a warning. And then we're here at dinner and he's giving his final warning and he's looking at a specific lord saying, consider this my final warning.
Yeah.
We do not talk negatively about your future queen.
He says some filthy stuff though.
Yeah, and then so we sit down. They say they have a little bit of a filthy banner back and forth, which I love this part. So they sit down at the tables together on the side of the table, and then like lords are around them and other people. And her mind starts drifting to filthy places.
Oh my god.
And he can obviously sense her emotions. And he leans in and he says to her, one word and I'll send them away. One word and I'll send everybody here away. And she's like, do I appear that nervous? And he says, I'm fairly confident that what I'm sensing has nothing to do with nerves.
No.
And I love that. I thought that was such a clever line.
He caught her. He's just catching her out on all her emotions.
Oh, he calls her out so good too.
It's good because like I'm tired of her crap, and I'm tired of him like just allowing her to be this way. Because he's done with her. Like ever since he brought her down to, I'm assuming down to hell. Like he was just done with her shit, and he's testing her every point, and that's great because who is not? If you could read this book and not be done with her crap, then kudos to you, man. Yeah. But I can't. Like, I was just like, Wrath, get her, man.
Yeah, because now we're in like his world, so I'm
Yeah.
ready for him to play his games.
Yeah.
I'm tired of her nonsense. And again, here she is. Like, oh, do I seem that nervous? Like, bitch.
Oh, stop playing coy now.
We know what you were thinking.
Yeah, you're
Come
being
on, don't
stupid.
play around. And then she also, they go into the, she's like, oh, are you sensing I'm going to stab you with a knife? And I was just like, come on. And then, then he retorts back perfectly. You forget what sin I rule over. I'm rather fond of a little bit of knife play.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then they go about the regular banter with everybody.
Yeah. And then at one point, the Lord Macadamia.
He's a nut.
Macadamia. He's a fucking nut for what he did.
This scene is so weird.
Yeah, well, he's already been warned numerous times, so like.
And so he's sitting across from her.
Yeah, he's saying some dirty ass things.
Yeah, he essentially is saying, "Oh, I've been warned to I can't comment on your tongue or something like that."
Yeah, because.
But
I've already been told not to.
Essentially, like, your mouth is pretty, and have you ever tried? I see you like.
Say that?
I think he says something along those lines. And then he's commenting on the food that she's eating, like, "Oh, have you ever tried chicken?" He doesn't say chicken. He doesn't say chicken.
I mean, close to it.
That's what he was pretending he was saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says. This Lord Macadamia Nut says,
"He's a nut.
I have the best chicken in all the land. Do you want a taste of my chicken?"
Oh man, it pisses Wrath off so much.
Well, it pisses Amelia off too, which I actually like. Like, she is ready, and I believe she is the one who initiates the standing up. Like, she's pissed off, and I like this Amelia.
Well, I mean, he just asked her to taste his chicken.
Yeah, but I would expect regular Amelia to be like, "Oh my god,
I mean, like
Wrath, come save me." But yeah, she grabs the knife and she stands up, and then of course, I like this scene though too because it like happened so fast that she's struck by all the blood.
Everybody
She's wondering like, did I do it? Did I stab him?
Yeah.
I didn't realize. And of course, Wrath is the one who takes it. I think he cuts his tongue off.
Yeah, he says, blood is now splattered across the evergreen garland and the table across me. My attention fell to the source of the gore. On the place set before the vile Lord sat severed an impaled tongue. Mm-hmm. And everybody was just like, like the whole room. Yeah. He did so quickly. And now this guy's. And so now Anir, I believe Anir, and just Anir maybe, takes her out of the room immediately.
Now, before we transition into what happens next, I don't understand this part.
Why he takes her out of the room?
No, I don't understand why this Lord did this.
Oh, yeah.
So he was already warned previously not to do this. He was looked in the eyeballs as the Wrath came in here and said, "This is your last warning." And then you're sitting across from him and you're saying all this. I don't understand. I like how I like this. Of course, this sort of interaction where Wrath comes to defend his lady's honor. Like, that's all fine and dandy. But this scene could have been constructed in such a different way. It makes no sense. It feels so forced that you would have this. Is this Lord really this dumb? I'm forced to believe that through all of these warnings, he's gonna sit here in front of his in front of his king, and say this shit to.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be wrath, not like lust or envy or any. This is supposed to be wrath. So what possessed him to feel that emotion? Because if anything, there should be a battle in the room. He's supposed to be one of the high lords of the Wrath Kingdom. Mm-hmm. What he said was not wrathful.
No, and it was
weird to me. It was, I don't know why. I feel like it was more of a lustful statement, and
this should have been done in a darkened corner. Yeah, they should have he maybe cornered her while she went to go get something to drink, and he caught her up at the drink stand, and they had this conversation. That's when that should have happened. The fact that it happened here just feels honestly like lazy writing. You just constructed this random scene that really just is nonsensical. In my opinion, it's a great scene. I like what happens. I like her anger.
It just
I like
came
his
out
response.
of nowhere. Like why he would say that came out of nowhere. It was like in front of Wrath.
In front of Wrath. I just don't get it.
It made no sense. So it was almost like it was just set up just so Wrath could kill somebody. I don't know.
It's just lazy. Like it's just lazy writing to me. But anyway, so Anir does quickly grab her and takes her
to her room
through this like secret walk up spiral staircase, takes her up there, pops out, and then I think he can sense that she's quite angry. She's not afraid. She's quite pissed off.
Yeah, and Anir tells her like, hey, give it a few minutes. I could tell you're wanting to have to speak with Wrath. Give him 10 minutes, and he's in the room down the hall or something. Yeah, not far from her room.
Yeah, and I think it's revealed that they share the same like corridor. They're both at the top of this castle. Of course, he would put her right next to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she goes she does something here that I really like. So she does wait a couple minutes and she
Mhm.
goes to him. He's got his like back turned to her or something, and she comes and she storms in quite angry, and she says to him, the reason why she's mad, she's explaining to him, this was my fight. If you interfered whenever someone was saying something unflattering, no one will ever respect or fear me. I will not appear weak for you to maintain strength. Hello, Amelia.
Yeah, she's about to be the queen.
This
She
is
doesn't. Yeah,
This is a great growth situation
Yeah.
here. I love
Finally.
this. Yeah, I will not appear weak for you to appear strong.
Yeah.
You do not do this for me again.
Mhm.
I can fight my own battles, which I've yet to see it
She's,
happen.
that's the thing. It's like, why is she getting mad at somebody that has watched her cower this whole time? So of course he's gonna do this stuff. Now all of a sudden she wants to feel empowered, which is great. But like, don't get mad at him for what you've been doing these whole times.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, like, I'm feeling like maybe I'm gonna be the queen. I should start doing some shit. I know I've been doing nothing. Can you help me? Like, why are you taking your anger out? I mean, I guess it's Kingdom Wrath. Maybe she's just not like paying attention to her emotions, and she's just,
what a surprise.
that could be what it is. But I just don't understand why the sense of wrath is coming towards his direction when she's the reason why.
Yeah, she can't ever just
She's
have
been
a
like
conversation with him. She's
No.
coming to him
She's too much.
emotionally all the time.
Emotionally immature all the time. Driving me crazy. Like, bitch, calm down.
I like the growth though. Like, I'm seeing a little bit of growth here,
Yes.
that you're finally merging into like, okay, I'm gonna take care of business myself because I'm about to be the queen of hell.
Yeah.
So, kudos for you there.
Yeah, but man, you could have handled that differently. It's weird.
You could have handled that differently.
Too much.
And this does segue into, then she talks about she wants to be armed. She wants a dagger of her own. He says, of course he's considered it. So he's like, yes, I want train. You need to be trained though. And I think she fights that for a hot minute. And he's I'm not going to arm you. I'm not arming you, Amelia, without training.
Yeah. And he says, my training is also not just going to be of like the
combat.
Combat side. She's going to be trained through all the sins as well.
How to ward off her brothers. Because we know that this potential looming Feast of the Wolves, which she may or may not be the main attraction
coming
of.
up.
So he wants to warn her. Then he tells her, I think, like, he tries to shoo her out. He's like, I'm done. I'm done
Get out of
for the
here.
night, please, Amelia.
Nuts. Like,
go home, go to bed.
Yeah.
And
she won't leave.
She's Amelia, so she does not do as she's told.
No.
And but he walks out and he takes like a drink of this like demonberry wine. He's drinking his demonberry wine, and then she asks him, like, what are some other places? Are there some cool places around here?
Yeah. Where do you like to go on the weekends?
Where do you like to hang out?
Yeah, no, she does. She says it in a weird way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he pretty much gets to the point and just says, the second best thing about this realm is the Crescent Shadows. It's a lagoon. And she pretty much
pokes and prods to figure out that it's underneath House Wrath.
Yeah, and he says, it seeks the heart of those who enter and reflects their truth.
Yeah, and you can't wear anything in there that's made.
Yeah,
so
it's gotta be naturally, like, you have to be pretty much naked.
Yeah.
You can't wear anything.
Mm-hmm. So he's trying to tell her, like, I don't think you want to go in there. One, your truths are going to be revealed, and two, you're going to be naked.
You're going to be naked beside me. And he already knows what she feels, and he knows what's going to happen. Pretty much. Well, she's just in denial of it this whole fucking time.
So she's feeling, I don't know, I think she had some of the wine. I don't know if the wine's making her feel emboldened, but they get down there and she's like, I'm gonna strip off. So she strips, she gets down.
She's like, look at me, I'm doing this, I don't care. He's surprised at this. He don't care, he just told you gotta be naked. Like, you're surprised.
Bitch, he's already seen you naked.
Yeah, millions of times, and you just be ridiculous. So,
though she does point out, like, oh, this is the first time he's seen me naked, not for medicinal reasons or to like cure her for something.
That's true.
He does have her, or says that she can wear the amulet in there because, I mean, she reasons that because it's the
horn of Hades,
the horn of the devil, the devil's horns, that it must not be made. So she wears it in.
But how is she wearing it on a chain? Isn't the chain made? I didn't want to even discuss that. I'll just forget that.
Don't ask those questions. That's too much.
I said that to myself, but I was reading it, and I was just like, Bruce will shut up now.
Yep. Don't ask that.
I'm just gonna stay in this realm.
So
maybe it's by the hair of the demon. Of the devil. Let's stop talking about
we don't even know. Yeah, I mean, there's
she
so many
says
questions
chain because woke up the fucking viper. I don't.
You can just dip the tip in the lagoon. No more.
I don't want to talk about the chain anymore. It's so stupid.
So she gets undressed. She goes in there. He and I wanna point this out because I hate this so much. She's teasing him and saying like, oh, something about like you can't get in here, whatever. And then he like vanishes his clothes away.
Oh, they just disappear.
They just disappear.
Man.
And he's standing before her naked, and she's like describing him, and it's all going great. And then they reach this tattoo. I'm just so confused about
that fucking tattoo.
He's got this a dagger tattoo that is the length from his hip to his knee.
It's a little dwarf sword.
I don't understand. No, with the tattoo. Immediately no. In my mind, Wrath does not have this tattoo because what a hideous tattoo.
That's ugly.
And she even says, because he's got that snake tattoo, that's this metallic gold, cool ass tattoo. And then he's got this like grayscale.
And it's like okay, so it's supposed to be a dagger, she describes it, but if it's from your knee, and he's a big dude, I'm assuming. So from his knee to his thigh, upper thigh, that's not a dagger. Like, even if you tattoo that on me, that's still not a dagger.
No, and that's a big. No, we're talking about a dagger tattoo on this man's thigh.
He's probably like really big. It's like, that is a big ass dagger. That wouldn't even be legal in some states.
No, yeah, I don't know what this dagger, and there's no significance to it. I mean, we haven't come to a significance to it yet, but and even if she's describing it, it has like roses on the. I think there's roses on the blade.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the part that's to come.
And then there's like geometric design. So we don't even know what this is. She makes note of it. I absolutely hate this tattoo. And then they
get hot and heavy.
Yeah, it gets hot and heavy. Yeah. They start.
Oh my god.
They pick up where they left off from earlier that evening.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read this little part because it's so funny.
Yes, please.
So they've been hot and heavy. They've been doing some stuff.
Almost,
and then it gets to this point. Yeah, well, yeah, they're bumping and grinding in this naked, or they're bumping and grinding naked in this shallows.
Lagoon. Yeah, the lagoon.
And it starts off with, the sound of his pleasure mingling with mine was creating its own spell. And I was so close to shattering, so close to that power that was building and breaking, and pain erupted.
I don't know.
I can't even read it.
That's not what happens.
Pain erupted in violent torrents, stealing my breath. What?
That should not be happening.
What? I had to reread that because like we're into it. Like she did must have been like a full page of description of what was going on between them. Like the butting and the touching, and then all of a sudden I'm reading about pain.
And then she goes, "There's a horrible pain." That's what it says. A horrible pain. Where? Yeah, because she tells her. She tells Wrath that. So she's like, "There's a horrible pain." And then he's like, "Where?" And his voice was rough. "My heart. I let go and I winced. Blood and bones. It's so bad."
Ophelia, oh girl.
Oh my god. So yeah, so like after this fucking pain erupts, he takes her to, what is it, the matron of potions?
The matron of curses. The matron of curses and potions. I am Celestia.
Yeah.
Get over that scene, girl. I am. Okay, let's take a break before we go into the scene with Celestia. This is now thrice these intimate moments that we've been building up to have been stopped. The first one was, it was an illusion. The second one, I think they just stopped it. And then we have this one. But each time, I will say, each time I'm sucked into this.
Yeah.
Each time, because it's you're not like deep into it, but you're like into it, that you're like,
oh, this is getting good.
Oh, it's happening. It's getting spicy. Ooh. And then
it doesn't.
And she gets some random phantom pain. I'll never get over this scene.
The pain is ridiculous.
The pain is my favorite. I did have to stop and be like, wait, what?
Yeah, I read it twice.
Your pain?
I was just like, what? There's no pain in this.
Wait, what?
What is he doing wrong?
Yeah. Wrath, yo, I built you up so high.
Calm down. What happened to consent?
What happened to consent, daddy? Calm down, bro.
I was like on your side this whole time.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, so then he does take her to Celestia. Oh, well, I love this part too because he's like banging on the door.
Yeah, she won't answer, and she's like not answering. She's
taking her sweet ass time.
Yeah.
She does.
Call her the daughter of the moon.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, daughter of the moon. That's how she greets Amelia.
And she said, "I've been expecting you."
I've been expecting.
I don't know how she. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she didn't expect the pain, but like. She expected her to visit at some point, and why that is, she doesn't say. But
yeah, we don't know.
She pretty much helps her get through the pain, and just tells her it's what does she tell her? It's
I think that it's a side effect of the amulet because it was the two opposing whatever curses on the amulet is
trying to get her to tell her truth when she was in the lagoon.
Yeah, it was like mashing with the magic of the lagoon, and that caused a reaction. Of course, Wrath didn't know about that, or else, like, of course, he never would have let her in there.
He said she did at one point ask, and he says, I wasn't sure it was a theory, and she's like, so you put it on me to test it. He's like, I didn't think it was going to be like that. So I'm assuming
he's testing something.
Yeah, he's testing to see if she could find her truth. He didn't expect her to bring her to the shallows. He didn't think the shallows were going to do anything like that. But he thought this, because he did tell her, I'm going to put this amulet on you, but if anything were to happen, immediately let me know, take it off. Or,
the smallest. Yeah. And he says that the moment he gives it to her.
Yeah, when he puts it on her.
Yeah, before
but
the
he
dinner.
didn't think the shallows were the reason for that.
No.
But yeah, it became the shallows because that's what the Celestia tells them. And so while she's there, she starts telling her all this stuff, Celestia.
Yeah, and they have an interesting conversation. Like, Celestia is really baiting Wrath here and kind of saying, like, you need to tell her. Like, they're having a conversation about Amelia in front of Amelia, and Wrath is getting mad, like, you need to stop talking.
Yeah,
now's not the time.
You need to tell her now, pretty much. Stop fucking around. Tell her the truth of what's really going on. And you should go somewhere, because she's going to scream at you. It's funny. Take her to the castle of something. Remember? It's important.
It's fun. No, yeah, and I have that highlighted, but I took that to mean something completely different, because what she says is, this is the conversation best carried out between you two alone. This time her grin was pure trouble, though you may want to take her to the temple of faerie, far from where you could be overheard. I have a feeling you two will wake the entire castle. I thought she was talking about them fornicating.
No, I thought she was so mad, because that's what's happening. I'd be like, you're about to tell her the actual truth, and she's gonna be pissed.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know which one it is. Yeah, either way, I think they're gonna.
Either way, it's gonna be
You're gonna wake the entire castle.
You're gonna wake the entire castle. She's gonna be mad. I mean, but so she does tell her to take her to the castle of faerie.
She does take her,
but she doesn't explain any more on that.
No, and then
which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of where that goes. And
so now Amelia's like, tell me what the fuck is going on. Tell me. So that leads into, he's like, fuck, I thought we had more time.
Yes, and it sounds like we're building up to something,
but it really is another letdown.
I'm like ready. Oh, what's this big secret? Am I gonna learn about the curse?
Guys, we already know.
We already been knowing.
We know. We know. You know. Don't act like you don't know. You read this book. You know what the secret
Even if
is.
you didn't read this book, we already been hinting at it. She's got tattoos still growing on her arm that she's ignoring. And here we go. This big build up between them two. Okay, the big reveal is that they're fucking still betrothed.
Yeah, and she's not actually Pride's wife.
Because
she's his.
Because they're betrothed.
Yeah.
Still. She may have signed the contract to be in his house, but it becomes void.
And he told her, you could sign your soul to any house you want, but you're still married.
Yeah. Now, so that's the big reveal.
That's the reveal.
We also learned that he accepted, there's parts of this betrothal. So the part is that she offers it, he has to accept it, and then also they need to fornicate to complete it and then have a ceremony. So he says to her, the reason you didn't just spell it away is because when I saved you from the snake demons, it wasn't a rebirthing spell.
No.
It essentially, he said that it was for the part of the mark that he accepted the betrothal, and the thing that he did to save her made them one.
When she was sick from the viper. That's when he did it. That's where that weird, stupid bathing thing happened.
Yep, that was where, and he gave her the mark, and that linked them together so that he could, they essentially become one with their magic or whatever, and so that he could take on her, in this case, the venom. So he took on the venom. It wasn't going to kill him. That's how he saved her.
Yeah.
So he did his part. He accepted the betrothal. Up next is
now
to fornicate. And then the ceremony.
And she's like, well, what about all those times we were pretty much going to, and he's like, I wouldn't have done that. There's other ways to please you.
There's other ways to please you that isn't involved.
And she's a dumbass because, So he pretty much, that's why he kept on preventing himself from going through with their whole sexual stuff. And he said, so she goes, why didn't you come when I summoned you back at home? And he goes, I was still healing. I couldn't go anywhere.
Did you see me? I was from groin to neck. I was cut open, girl. I need more than a couple hours to regenerate.
Like, really ridiculous.
But
So
I think
ridiculous.
he does know outwardly to her, like, oh, it's interesting that you were upset about the fact that I didn't.
Yeah, he's like, ooh.
She's so dumb though, because she's like acting like she doesn't like him. Like, we all know,
really
Wrath knows, we all know. Quit playing, girl.
She's too much.
Just admit it.
She's too much. Like, I'm just so sick of her nonsense, and it continues. Like, it just continues. There's no end to Amelia's nonsense.
And she okay, and this is another part, and this is gonna bring us back to Lord Macadamia Nut, because she also says here, which is why he'd made such a public example of Lord. She's talking about Wrath. Making such a public example of the Lord, the noble hadn't simply disobeyed a royal command. He challenged Wrath and insulted his soon-to-be wife, because the whole of the castle knows.
Yes,
everybody knows that they're still betrothed. Yes! So it makes even less sense that this Lord would do this. So not only did he do this in front of Wrath to just some girl, to the future queen, he did this to his wife. Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily to like some other person and some other like this is he knew. So it's it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Again, it's even less
it's nonsensical. I don't understand this Lord.
And how she could just think that. She's like, I took that bond away from us. And he's like, no.
I just said I release you.
Our tattoos are growing, girl. Let us. Like, how is he not upset that he's marrying the dumbest girl?
I don't. That's what's so hard when you have main characters who are dumb or just annoying, because I don't understand where the attraction is here. Because he's great.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. But, like, I think his only flaw is her.
It is literally the fact that he likes her. Like, what's wrong with you, Wrath?
There's something going on.
There's so stupid. I don't see the attraction.
He sees the inner something of her, and I'm, the whole time I was like, there's got to be more, because she's crazy. But like, I don't know. So she's also
sick of her shit.
Yeah, she's just too much. So like, she's mad at him for her stupidity, and so she's like, I want to get out of here. I'm accepting Envy's invitation. I'm leaving. Okay, do you remember? Do you guys remember? Because I remember. Do you remember what happened to Envy? Because this guy supposedly kidnapped her whole family and stabbed the guy she thinks she's in love with. And now she's going to say, fuck you, future husband. I'm going to your brother's house.
Without any conversation to him. They just can't talk to each other. It's her. She can't talk to him. But yeah, and it almost comes off spiteful. Like, I can't. I'm going to go to Envy's house. Go ahead, let Envy know that I'm going to hang out with him.
Yeah.
Like, girl.
Oh, I can't. I think she drives me so well.
I love Envy, though, so I was ready for this.
So, yeah, so she is automatically at Envy's with Wrath, and Wrath, and she dresses her. Doesn't he dress her like...
He does dress her, like provocative, but...
Yeah, in house colors.
Respectful. Yeah, essentially he's claiming she's mine.
Yeah, and you can read your favorite part when they meet, because he tells her how she dressed her. Wasn't that the part? He said how he dressed her was like as if he should have. No, it's not that part, is it? When he should have religion.
Oh no, that was.
That's something.
Oh, that is Oh, when he says this stupid.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so
wait, yeah.
So Wrath takes Amelia straight to Envy, and Envy's like sitting down, can't be bothered to get up, and then like she's like wearing this outfit, and so like he says something along the lines of...
Oh, here we go. I found it. Okay, so he brings her to Envy. They're in and I imagine this was he sitting on his throne. They come in.
Yeah, because he said he couldn't be bothered. They couldn't be bothered.
And Envy, I love Envy so much. Envy says, I didn't think you'd wish to share, but you've certainly dressed her in the most appealing way. Yeah. All that skin begs to be worshipped. It's about time I found religion, wouldn't you say? And can we just... So he says the most beautiful line. Like, that's great. I love this. And obviously he's fucking with Wrath. Wrath's response to this is, your manners seem to have disappeared along with the length of your hair. What the fuck? What is that?
That's so ridiculously stupid.
Like, you failed, Wrath.
I don't know. That was dumb. He's definitely not the sin of comebacks.
No, he fell hard on that one. I don't know. Did Envy really hit you with that one? Like, he couldn't recover. He was like, "Oh shit,
got him good." So yeah, so like after that, Envy tells Wrath he needs to leave, and Wrath is like, "No, not till I take her out to her chamber." So he takes her up to the chambers, and you know what he's doing? He's like inspecting every little thing in her room to make sure it's not going to turn into a serpent and bite her. Like, it's just ridiculous. He goes crazy, and she's like laughing laughing at him.
Because he is being a little ridiculous. Like, what is this, Envy? Or Wrath? What are we doing here?
Yeah, so he arms her right then and there. He does put a dagger
He does give
on her
her
thigh.
her dagger that she wants. And they have a moment where she's like, she's getting like hot and bothered by it. And he's like, I'm not going to take you. You think I'm going to take you here for a couple seconds in my brother's house?
She just got mad at him for like not telling her that they were still betrothed. And she knows that having sex is going to betroth. So
don't try to bring logic into her train of thoughts. It does not work.
I can't. So yeah. So anyways, Wrath leaves, and now she's stuck there by herself. And they pretty much, somebody tells her that you're gonna have dinner with Envy.
Yeah, and then he puts her in a dress.
Yeah, puts her in a
hunter green dress. I love it.
That sounds pretty.
And I love the scene between her and Envy. I love Envy so much. He gives Rysand vibes, and I love it. And this whole scene really just brings out the Rysandness of him. And yes, I say Rysand and not Rysand. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
That's fine. I say the same thing. But I also say Lord Macadamia Nut. So
yeah, we're just throwing it all out there. We don't care. So they have an interesting dinner. He sort of tells her, like, because she's so dumb, like, hey, you should try your truth-telling spell on food. And she's like, what?
I didn't know you could do that. I did that. That's good news.
So they make a little pact where she's gonna spell the wine with truth, and they each have to give a truth. I think this is a fun, cute game, and he goes kind of back. Yeah, they go back and forth.
They do for a little bit,
and I don't know that they really.
He's
using her, like he's not so much using her in like a negative way, but he's feeding her information, hoping that she's smart enough
to gather these clues to do something about them when she does.
He's telling her about this. I mean, he does it later. So they have their dinner, they say their truths, and then they go to his museum.
Yeah, and that's where important information starts to get laid out to her from him.
Oh, yeah, and he does say in this too, my brother's temper caused something important to be taken away from me. Yeah, I hope to one day return the favor. It's not envy I'm motivated by, it's retribution.
Yeah, which is very interesting. That's an interesting thing to say to her, especially
because now we know that
they both have vengeance in mind.
And that something has been taken from Lust, and that's why he's sort of
Envy.
That's why he's sort of scheming about, and
they don't say why, and like you never really know what it is that's been taken from Envy. He doesn't really say.
No, we don't get too much.
But he tells her pretty much that. Isn't there like a bargain between them? But she said something about, I don't know, maybe there wasn't a bargain, but I know he just takes her around the room and he shows her a picture of what he says is his brother, which has like almost like a fallen angel kind of look to it, where he's got wings.
Yes.
And yeah, and she goes, "Is this Wrath?" And he says, "This is my brother."
This is my brother, and it's a story of, it captures the story of curses and stolen memories.
Yeah.
And she's like, why would you want to commemorate this? And then that's when he says, because something was important that was stolen from me, and I want to be like reminded of this.
Yeah. And so he also shows her a bunch of other things, like statues and stuff. But I think a picture of a tree, a picture of the map.
Yes.
Of the realms, stuff like that.
And then he talks about this triple moon mirror, which is
the key temptation.
It's a mirror of the gods.
Or
goddesses, I should say.
He does tell her about this. So yeah, because it's almost like he's trying to tell her, hey, you need this and this. And it's the temptation key and the triple moon mirror.
Yeah, he's accurate. He's feeding her things to get her to go looking for them. Essentially, is what he's doing. And he's like, the triple moon mirror it's embedded with the Maiden, Mother, and Crone's magic, and it can show you the past, present, and future upon request. Used to reside in this case, in this like empty case that he's got there. So yeah, he's definitely feeding her that information so that
she has it for reference in the future, because he knows that she's gonna need this information. For what reason? I don't think he says why. He just says, hey, this is important.
He wants her to go looking for it. So he gives her,
and he doesn't really say why.
Gives her a map. Yeah. Gives her, you need this, and don't need to worry about why.
And shows her a tree picture.
Here's this picture of a tree.
Yeah.
You should read the inscription on the bottom of it. It might be real interesting.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm going to leave you to it.
And you can meet me in my bedchamber if you want.
Yeah.
Peace. And then he pieces out. And then I love the scene at the end where eventually like a butler comes and finds her, and he's telling her like, oh, Les said if you want to go up into his bedchamber, you can with your thoughts about him. And there's a picture of him above the thing if you need mental stimulation.
Yeah. I thought that was great.
I love Envy so much.
So ridiculous. But yeah, so she's just like, no, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit. And to throw back something we forgot, she asked for a sewing kit. And Wrath told her, you don't need a sewing kit. She's like, I do though. And so she takes the sewing kit, and apparently she uses it to smuggle something out of his museum and puts it in her trunk and tells the whoever that guy is in Envy's house, like, hey, tell Wrath that I'm headed home. Like, send news to Wrath that I'm headed home in the morning.
Yeah.
So she smuggled this thing out of the museum, put it in her, I'm guessing, sewn it in like one of her items, and then went right to Wrath. So while she's at House Wrath, the whole time she's like checking out this trunk. Or is it a trunk? I don't know what the fuck it is. In my head, it's a trunk. And she's just like eyeballing it, thinking, oh, what I just stole this. I'm scared. So she's worried that Envy's going to come back and take her at any point for this item that she stole.
Yeah, and then also, I think it's noteworthy. One of the conversations that they have in the house with Envy's, he also talks about the crone and who she is.
Oh yeah, that's
he tells her that the crone is the goddess of the underworld. Her spells reflect the moon, the night, and the dead, amongst other things like darker, more violent emotions. And then he also says that the first witch stole the book of the dead, which is the crone's book.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that the crone was not amused. So we learn a little bit more also about this mysterious crone and the fact that her book was stolen by the first witch, and that she's the goddess of the underworld, which is interesting because we've not really heard much about the goddesses, anything ruling the underworld other than the princess. And
so she's worried about this, and she decides that she wants to sense her magic so that way she could feel some kind of relief, and she realizes that she can't access it. So she's a little like, whoa, that's kind of weird. Maybe it's because of this or that. So she kind of like sweeps that under the rug and doesn't pay any mind to it. But yeah, she is worried about Envy coming to get her, and she's worried about her magic being lost. And then she's trying to figure out why Wrath didn't like come get her.
Yeah, she was fully expecting
nowhere
him
around. He's just gone, which you don't even know why he's gone at that point either.
No, he just sort of
he just pops in, pops out.
Pieces out.
Yeah, so he leaves, but Anir comes to her and says, hey, come with me. I got some place to show you. And so he takes her to this training room, this beautiful training room, and he starts showing her training things. And then at one point in time, she's like, where's Wrath? Like, where is he? Is he with another woman or something like that?
Yeah, she's getting a little jealous.
Yeah, and then what is Wrath? Wrath just is like, oh, be careful, witch. I would think that you miss me.
Yeah,
like that.
I would think that you like me or something like that. Yeah.
And so then he starts trying to conduct training with her, and she's like, I don't need your training. What? And he's like, we bargained for this, remember? And she's just like, oh, I don't.
Anir's doing a fine job. I don't need you.
I can't take her.
I don't need the Prince of Wrath.
Whatever.
I don't need the Prince of War and Combat.
Like, you don't need this engagement.
I don't need the Prince of War and Combat to teach me training.
Yeah.
Okay, but I will. This is my favorite. This is my favorite part of this entire book.
This part already?
It is this part.
Oh,
it is this part.
Nice. She deserves it.
So, I think it's this part, right?
I don't remember. I know it's her first training. So it's her first training session with Wrath.
Yeah. And then this is the first training session with Wrath. So, So she's meeting with him. So he comes in and he's setting up the tale because Anir had been working to train her in combat. So he was working on stances and things like that. So Wrath is here to train her in the art of not getting manipulated by her brothers. Yes. And he even says, like, do you want my brothers to manipulate you? Maybe you'd wish to become an object for their amusement. Perhaps you will start by being mine. Remove your clothing and dance for my pleasure. Ooh.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, it's starting to get good.
I do like that.
And so she starts, because he says it with magical command. So she starts removing her clothing. She starts dancing for him. He is not happy with this. He's becoming very upset at her dancing, at her removing. And then so she asked him, is this not what you desire? He says, not at all. He took a large step away, placing a hateful distance between us. Good. You will address me as master from now on. Drop to your knees. And I just want to come back to the fact that earlier in the very beginning, she made note that it would take a lot for me to drop to my knees before Wrath and beg from him. It takes very little.
It didn't take very much. No at all.
She dropped right to her knees after he commanded that.
She deserves it.
And he even says to her, which I also love, he says to her, learn to protect yourself. That will give me the ultimate pleasure.
Yeah.
Woo!
I know, right?
Goddamn right.
Stop being this weak individual and you think you're so strong. You don't. You're not. So fix yourself.
Yep.
Grow from this. Stop doing this. Like, I'm so tired of her constantly thinking that she knows everything and she is her best source of, like, inspiration to grow. She's not.
Yeah.
She's surrounded and put herself in, she's with somebody she can actually, like, gain some knowledge from, and she consistently decides that it
does not at all open herself up
I can't. And so he's now, you know what's crazy is this whole time he could have done this to her. The whole time. And he's now just showing her what he was capable of. And he didn't even do it a lot. He did a little of it. And he's not even done yet.
No, he's not.
There's still more.
He's just getting started.
There's still more to this.
So he even says to her back, if I wanted you on my knees bare before me without a thought of your own head, I would have willed it. Like, I would have done this already if this is what I wanted. And then, so he says, I would have willed it. If I desired to F you into our marriage, you do exactly as I said, and you beg for more. Neither attracts nor pleases me. I long for an equal. Grab the dagger hidden on my leg. Get up.
Oh, this is so great.
I can't.
This is a really good scene.
So she slides the dagger from his pant leg. Yeah. And I think she's still, like, bare. Like, she's, like, naked, too. So this is even better. Slides it from...
she's struggling to, like, go, to get away from his power, too. And she just can't.
Mm-hmm. And so he tells her, this is what you desire. This is what you want. Mm-hmm. Vengeance. Take it. Recall what I just made you do. How you fell to your knees, begging to please me. Let the hatred and your favorite sin consume you. And then she says, like, shut up! Is what her reaction to that, but okay.
Yeah.
And then...
Whatever. I can't.
He says, perhaps let me show you how wicked I could be. And then he says, take your vengeance. And he makes her stab him, not just once. She repeatedly stabs him.
Yeah.
Ooh. 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 Ooh!
It's such a good part.
And then he also... he goes on, and he does this is a mic drop moment that I'm just going to read here. He says, basically... She's questioning, why did you make me do it this way? And he says, I offered you an outlet. Vengeance is a poison, a slow death of self. Seek justice, seek truth. But if you choose revenge over all else, you will lose nothing more than your soul. Your grief cannot be extinguished through hatred. Tell me, do you feel as you imagined? Did spilling my blood heal your wounds? Have those scales of justice finally tipped into balance, or did you slip a little further into something you don't recognize? Boom! Yeah. Just drops that mic. Has this girl crawling on her knees, begging to please him. And then
he doesn't want it.
Flips the switch, says, take my dagger, stab me, and then says, look at this. Look at what your anger and
you wanted to do this the whole time and you got what you wanted. How does it feel? Yeah.
How is it? I love this part. I love this part so much because he's been telling her over and over from book 1, get your shit together.
Yeah.
You're easily manipulated. You need to control your emotions. He says that all throughout book 1. He says it in the sin corridor coming up here. He says it every time.
She won't fucking listen.
She doesn't listen. So he comes in and he's like, all right, I'm sick of your shit. That's like the theme of this book. I'm sick of your shit.
Yeah.
Stab me. Go ahead, take your vengeance. Do you feel better? Or did you slip into something you don't recognize?
Yeah. It's perfect.
He's chef's kiss right here.
It's perfect. And that's why I said it, the ability that he was able to refrain from using his powers, because she is such a pain in the ass. She could have done it at any point in time. And when he did it and then, like, used it now, it's like, you know, I'm so glad he did it at this point. Mm-hmm. But I feel like she deserved to have felt that earlier.
In his I agree with you 100%. Yeah, but I hate her.
But at this time, you know, it's almost like she agreed to training, and him being consent daddy, it's almost like
that is it.
He had to consent to the training, and this is his way of doing it. So yeah,
but also he was trying to giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe if I just keep telling her that, hey, you need to do this, maybe she'll eventually get it. And then she didn't get it, and he was like,
so many damn times she didn't get it.
No, yeah, it took far too long. But yeah, you're right. I think it was the that she had to agree to the training, and then
suffer. Now she had to suffer through this, and so because like she was
very upset after this. And I like the Amelia that comes after this because she wants no part of his shit. I hate, though, I will say, this whole scene and the impact that it left, I felt was slightly tarnished because he comes back to her room
He
and
does.
he's like, Amelia, I just want to apologize. It sounds like he's gonna say, I just want to apologize.
Yes,
he gets
does
cut
say
off
that. Yeah, and he finds skulls.
because he finds the skulls.
Yeah.
But it does, like, Raph, you went in, you made your point flawlessly. Do not apologize.
Don't take it back.
This is what she needed.
Yeah.
And she was good. I mean, she told him,
don't apologize for it.
Yeah, and she basically told him, like, we're doing training on my end. Don't ever do that to me again.
Yeah.
I need X, Y, and Z. Like, she stated her man. She grew up a little bit. I like that.
Yeah,
and
I really accepted the fact that finally she grew. I think that moment is where I realized she finally understood that she didn't grow. She did need it, and finally understood that her place was to learn what he had to offer her. But she had the ability to do it on her terms. So that's what I liked. I liked that growth. I felt like that was the only growth she had.
Yeah, because I don't really feel like it lingers. Like, I just get a taste. I get a taste of the Amelia that I like between their bantering. Yeah. But then it just goes away. When I'm back in her head, or when she's back, like,
it went away quickly.
Reasoning things. Yeah. She's back to her old self, and it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I like this Amelia when it pops out, but it's not. It's like it's not who she truly is. No. So this great scene happens. And then
so she sees the skull. He sees the skull, and he's like, "What the hell? Like, you didn't tell me about this?" And she's like, she's got a point. I do agree with her. I do agree with her because she's like, if I were to tell you about this, would you have answered any of my questions? Would you have helped me? And then so she asks. Oh, this is the first time she ever asked the questions that she should have asked. So she asked all the questions like, "Who would your brother has done this? What brother would have done this? Like, who's capable of doing this?" So she asks all the questions back to back to back to back, and Rat just looks at her and she's like, "See,
yeah,
you wouldn't have answered. So unless you're going to help me, get the F out of my way." Yeah, pretty much is what she says, and that is the best time she's ever asked a question. That is the best way she's ever asked a question, and that is the best result that she's concluded that I'm just going to do this on my own since you want to help me.
But she also demands, like, because he's like, I'm going to take these somewhere somewhere safe.
She's like, well, I should be able to access it at any point in time.
She tells him, I'm accessing these. I'm letting you take them, but I am accessing them when I have questions. Do not stand in my way. If I'm going to do something, don't stand in my way. Like, hello, Amelia.
Finally.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to adulthood. Too bad you don't linger too long, but yeah. So then after this, she is isn't she like walking around?
Yeah, she walks around and she finds a statue outside.
Finds a statue.
Yeah. Which we don't really discuss the statue very much at all, except for like in this book. Like the statue is like, this is the only time I remember seeing the statue or talking about the statue. She hears voices. The statue is kind of like there's a serpent around the statue, and it's kind of like hiding her bosom and her nakedness. I thought it's almost like a seduction of the serpent.
I thought
woman.
I was thinking that it was Amelia and Wrath.
I was thinking that too, but it was very. It was just she said she didn't know who the lady was, and it didn't look familiar, but it was like the snake seducing a woman. That's what it comes to.
And Wrath is really embodied as this. I mean, that's a symbol, the snake. And then so here's what looks like this pretty god. Like it just seemed very much like them. There's no other mention of this in this book or anything about it. She's hearing like
very loud wailing, desperate pleas and cries and hurts and pains. But she can't really hear what's being. Yeah, she only knows that it's very loud, not good noises of a person wailing.
And Envy tells her to, because Envy appears.
Envy just appears, but he grabs her and puts a knife to her. And he's pretty much, because he's
come to retrieve what was stolen, which we I think discovered now.
He doesn't take it though.
He doesn't take it.
"Oh well, that's what you get for stealing it. You can keep it."
He's like, "I know you stole it, and I stole something from you as well." Yeah. But he tells her while she's hearing this, "I'd not become too curious about that pet."
And she's like, "Don't call me pet."
I love that he calls her pet. It's my favorite.
That's curious as to why he calls her that.
Pets.
But he's gone. And she's left to just stare at the statue is pretty much what ends up happening.
Yeah, well, he does kind of tell her, he kind of alludes to what he took. Like, have you?
Oh yeah,
have
he
you
says,
tapped
yeah,
into
have you tried?
anything
Yeah, she knows that he took.
recently? He
She
took her
knows
magic.
he took her magic. Yeah, and she's just like, you fucking.
And she's like, I need that back
Yeah.
for defending myself or
He
blah blah
won't.
blah. And he
He's
was
like,
like,
"Oh,
well.
well."
I was thinking we could make a bargain, but
Too late.
now I'm really excited to see how this all pans
Yeah,
out.
and that's pretty much what he does. And he leaves her.
I love
He
him.
leaves her to her own demise. Is what he does. That's her own fault.
Yeah, it is. He leaves her to deal with the consequences of her own actions, which it's about time people freaking do this.
So after this, there's another training session with Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
But this training session is a little different because she knows about the Feast of Wolf and she's worried, or maybe she doesn't know. I don't know if she knows that or not. But they don't know who the person is that's going to give away their biggest fear, because that's what the Feast of Wolves is.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to give up their biggest fear. So I don't know if she's chosen or anything yet. I just know that there's
they're prepping for it. I mean, it's the assumption that she will be chosen. There is nobody else.
They feel like there's nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
She's the grand prize, pretty much.
And so that's why Wrath is doing this really in such an intense way, because he knows she's going to be chosen, and he's just trying to gear her for. And he's testing her essentially after his main one, testing her for all of the, all of his brother's stuff. So he does the gluttony, he does pride and envy.
Yeah, and so this time she's just like pretty much saying that my biggest fear is right now is I can't dance. And so there's a dancing session going on between them.
Because Fauna told her, maybe if you maybe if you pretend that you have a different big fear, which I do have like, I'm curious about this, like, okay, so at the Feast of Wolves, she has to give up her biggest fear. And somebody even mentions, I don't remember who it is, I think it's Wrath, that's almost worse than death. And I just don't know, I'm just not quite understanding. Okay, so she's going to be in front of a room of people. She has to admit what her biggest fear is. She has to give up her biggest fear. What does that mean? Is she just saying what her biggest fear is, and then now everybody knows? And
I think they did. I think they go into it. I think some magical thing happens to where it like possesses out of her.
But that's supposed to be worse than death.
And then that feeds to the princess. It's supposed to feed to them, apparently.
But then what does it like? How does it harm her? What does it do for her?
I don't. It doesn't say. None of that says. I just kind of like ignore it, like the chain of the amulet.
Yeah,
because like it doesn't. Nothing comes of it.
But now I'm supposed to believe that if she can trick it into thinking that her worst fear is that she can't dance, like this is your logic, Amelia. Come on,
you're stupid.
You're playing around a realm with princes who have been princes of their kingdoms for we don't even know how long, and you're telling me you think you're gonna.
Because she's stupid.
You think you're this is another one of those like tricking scenarios where she's really gonna trick these princes into thinking her worst.
She's not. She's dumb. She's dumb. And Wrath goes along with it and teaches
her
how
Wrath?
to dance.
Why?
Because
I don't see it.
He's in love. Because love
He's
is the best magic.
I don't know what enticed you to be in love with her. Like, what is it? It cannot be her.
I'm not in love with her.
Her vast intelligence. It cannot be.
I'm not in love with her.
Oh God, no! I am in hate with her constantly. I'm so mad at her.
So yeah, so they do this dancing thing, and as they're dancing, Anir comes in, knocks on the door, says, "Hey, guess what? Antonio's calling for Amelia." Just like that. You know that guy that said he killed your sister, and
he wants to see her.
He wants to see her, and she's like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
Where is this dude?" She never thought about that the whole time because he was whisked away when
she did ask about it right when they were entering through the same corridor, and then he was like, "Oh, he's somewhere," and then it's never mentioned.
Yeah, until now. And so this is almost the end of the book too. And so she goes to Antonio with him, and she wants to kill him. Now she wants to kill him. Remember, she wanted to kill him, then said, "No, I don't want to kill him." But now she wants to kill him again. So she tries to attack him. He's like, "What do you know, Amelia? I was pretty much like, I'm taking a tonic so I could remember things." And she's like, "Oh, I'm supposed to believe that you are possessed by some goddess." That's what she says.
Yep.
When you went to go out and venture out and take care of people, you were at a city where a goddess dropped down, and so she was like telling all that shit. So anyways,
and then like the child she is, Wrath has to come in and grab her and take her out so she can have a breather and regain her emotions.
And he uses seduction as a way to calm her down.
Which, okay. I mean, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
Yeah, they have a little tryst.
They're so weird.
They are so weird. And
they're like high school kids.
God, it's so annoying. And he says, "Master your temper, or we'll attempt this again tomorrow. This was a test." And he says, "Yes, you're failing miserably." I do like that this was a cute test. I like that he flirted with her. And I'm like, it's cute.
And then he sends her into a room where she kind of like takes a bath. And, we know what happens when you take a bath and you're all nice and calm. Someone comes in and attacks you from behind.
Some assassin comes to get you.
Yeah, she thought it was like Harlow or something.
Yeah,
and so
a
Harlow
maid or
is
something.
her maid. And so like she's just being attacked, and so Amelia fights back for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like
She's armed now.
Yeah, so she stabs the individual somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and they run off, leaving a trail of blood. And Wrath pops up immediately, and goes, "Are you hurt?" And she's like, "No, I guess." The blood's not mine or something. And then
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Do you want to come with me?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "I commend you. It takes a lot to
Know your limit.
know your limits." And
Mhm.
so he goes and chases this person
And he
down.
kills it, and he gets it, and she
Yeah.
doesn't want the blood on his hands, and he's like, they have this whole back and forth. I can't be responsible for his
Yeah.
death.
And I want to say that's where she
annoying.
goes downstairs to make dinner or something, and he
Oh,
finds her
yeah.
there and pretty
Mhm.
much tells her like the death isn't on your hands, it's on mine.
Yeah, that's their stupid ass
And then
conversation
that's pretty much the end of their death training, or sorry, their dance training. But then there's another
Their dance training. Oh yeah, their other
there's
training.
another training. So this is our other favorite training. So I think this is their third training or whatever. So
Mhm.
she goes into the room, and pretty much this time she wants to.
She thinks she's in
going
control.
to control the training. She's wearing this dress or whatever, and she goes in there, and you pretty much need to take over this one because I can't on this one. This is too much.
And doesn't he start training her? He wants to go with with gluttony, so he has like this table filled with stuff, and he's making her drink
all
to
the
excess. All the food, it's the food that gets her. Woo! A lot of stuff happens in here, and she's talking about the food.
I know. Well, I mean, she's got like chocolate covered strawberries and stuff like that. I'm like, right then and there, they're like, yes, this is seduction and it's finest.
Yeah, you got me. You got the food. You got the wine. You got you.
She's like, I'm feeling the wine.
Check, check,
She
check.
said that. Yeah, she's like, I'm feeling the wine. Yeah, like that's a good day. Think about it.
That's a good evening,
Think
Raph.
about it. Like, yeah, he's got this whole. Is this dinner or is this like a date or is this training? Is this a training date? Like, I can't. I don't know.
Is this a date or is this training? Damn. Turns out, yeah, it's a date. It turns out it is indeed.
Well, I mean,
so he's getting her drunk. She's, one forcing her into gluttony, but then also trying to see if she can somehow manage to arm herself while she's inebriated. And then they have the kind of back and forth banter, but then she does get some chocolate covered strawberries and some whipped cream, and she's having a hard time poking that fork into some strawberries.
She's drunk as hell.
Yeah, and so he's like, "Oh, I'll do it for you." So she comes and like sits on his lap, and he's feeding her these chocolate covered strawberries. And of course, one thing leads to another.
Well, it's important to add that anytime she starts using her like seduction on him, he takes down the magic.
That's right. That is one thing.
He starts taking down because he doesn't want her to be seduced to the point where she loses her free will.
And she does use that later.
Yeah. That's what she's doing. She's using it against him right now. So like, yeah, she sits on his lap, and oh my gosh,
and one thing leads to another, and they're kissing and they're cuddling, and he's doing some.
Yeah.
He pleasures her this time. She finally reaches some sort of peak.
He pleasures her. I can't. Oh my god, I call it on-hand training.
I love this scene so much too. So he pleasures her. She reaches her peak, but she is not done. She's ready for the next one. Now, of course, we know, right? Of course, we know that the full act is going to pretty much cement their bond. So, but she's drunk. She's high on life right now. She's high off of that climax, and she's like wiggling her skirt up. She's essentially like shoving her ass in his face.
She's like, I want this.
She's like, let's do it. Let's do it. In her mind, she's doing it. And for a split second, she thinks, I don't know that this is what I want. For a split second, and he's done.
Yeah, he feels it. He feels it all right. He feels that motion shift.
He felt that shift. And he stopped because he's a consent daddy.
Yeah.
The moment no entered her mind, and he was like, done. He said, our training for this evening is done. In one swift motion, Wrath stood, bringing us both to our feet. I spun around staring at him. He was wholly unreadable. Training? That's how you described what happened? He says, you asked for seduction, I obliged. He bent at the waist, offering a polite bow. Now that you know what you enjoy, you may find the same pleasure at your own hands. Good night.
She deserved it.
She did.
I don't give a shit. She deserved
finally
it.
timed mic drop.
Yeah, but you know what? God damn that on-hand training. Damn, dude.
I mean, she did say she wanted to be seduced, and he was like, all right.
I taught you your lesson.
I taught you how to do it. Now,
good night. Good night. Have your pleasure at your own hand, lady.
I love the transition because it ends right there. That's the end of that chapter. And then the next chapter is Fauna, which I just adore.
Oh my God.
He said what? Which is girl same, because that's exactly what I said.
I was like, he did not.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Did he just call that training?
Yeah, calm the fuck. I gotta go back. I gotta read that all over again and read it again and read it again.
Her reaction, like, that was a beautifully timed transition into that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this.
Maybe you misheard him. Maybe I don't think you can mishear that.
I don't think
he said that loud.
He didn't just say that. He walked out too.
Yeah, he walked out.
He did his thing. You shoved your ass in his face, and he was like, "Nah, we trained. See ya."
Yeah.
But okay, so.
Yeah, she said, I don't believe that physical attraction is a problem. Because that's what she said. Well, maybe he's not physically attracted to me. And she goes, I don't think that's the problem. This
is when the Amelia that I hate emerges.
Yeah, she does.
She said, "Damn it." So they have this conversation. Of course, she's gabbing to her girlfriend about this. She, this happened. He said what?
Yeah.
She says, Fauna explains to her exactly what happened. Fauna says to her, His Highness may want you to be certain you're choosing him with a clear head. Perhaps he wasn't sure that's what you wanted, and he left before he did something he thought you'd regret. That is absolutely what happened. Because every single time they've been really close or they've been intimate, he can sense every emotion that she's having. So, and it hasn't even been her, like, not wanting it, but it's a slight change of something he's pulling back because I think she had I don't know. Every single time there's been a shift in emotion, he's picked up on it. Every time. I don't know why she can't get that through her head that...
Because she's a dumbass.
You literally thought for a second, oh, maybe this isn't what I wanted, as your ass is in his face. You thought that. He felt it. He moved. Everything Fauna said...
Well, she's an idiot. She still don't believe it because she heard what Fauna said and she's experienced this stuff and she still doesn't believe it.
And her response back to Fauna on that was, lifting my skirts was a clear indication of my wants.
It wasn't.
If he wishes to secure the marriage bond, he's not convincing me. Like, you're so dense. Yeah. It wasn't that's not what he wants. It wasn't your ass in his face saying that's, like, yes, your ass was in his face saying, hey, I want this, but your emotions for a split second said that's not what I wanted. And of course, he's not going to force you into that. And then... No. And then she goes on because she's not done. She's not done being dumb. She goes on. I'm not done being dumb. She goes on to say that she doesn't want the marriage bond. So she's having this conversation, and like 2 paragraphs later, she says, "I shouldn't be mad at him that he doesn't want the bond because maybe I don't want the bond." It's like, girl, that's the problem. Yeah. You don't know that you want the bond. He knows that you don't know. And she's so mad at him the whole time. Like, and she's saying that this is in her head is that he just doesn't want the bond. He doesn't love her enough. That's why
That's why he said,
girl,
take it at your own hand.
You're killing me here. That's why he said, do it your own hand.
Yeah, that's why she deserved that. That's why she deserved that. So, like,
she does deserve that.
Right after the on-hand training, right after that, Amelia decides that she's just gonna go to, I believe she goes to Celestia after that, and has these conversations about, just random stuff, like, starts asking them questions. I can't remember all of the questions, but pretty much
she asked her if she's the first witch. Yeah. She says no. She asks her if Amelia asks, am I the first witch? She says no. And then they start talking about the the main conversation that they have is that they're talking about the tree, the truth tree. The cursed tree. The truth tree.
I mean, it could be. It pretty much is.
And Celeste tells her that that you just need to carve the true name of the one you seek information about into the trunk, then take a leaf from the tree. Careful when you do, the leaves are fragile. When you desire the truth, break the leaf in the presence of the one whose name you carve, but you have to know their true name. Because names are powerful, so you have to use a true name. Yeah. And so she's thinking back then to...
of the things that she saw at Envy's place.
The map that she saw, and she's then decides that she knows where this tree is, and she's going to go find it.
I want to say she just starts asking questions about the curse as well. Like, maybe not. But she just finds out like information about the curse tree and like, just like little things about who she is. And she pretty much tells her she's got to find her own truth. Yep. And then after that, I believe that's where they do one more. No, they don't do another training.
No,
I think that's it. I think they start to head to the Feast of Wolves. I think that's where. Yep. Oh wait, no, there is one more training. It's a pride training. She trains. He tells her it's that he's gonna train her for pride.
Oh, that's right, because she walks on in acting all prideful.
Yeah, and she's
That's
just
when she uses the seduction. That's when she's so happy that she's picked up on the fact that every time she uses her
yeah,
seduction, he immediately stops his power, and so
yeah.
she dresses super provocative that
So she
day.
does go after him that
She
time.
gets him up against the wall and is immediately
Realizes that he wants her just as much.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
and then says, I can't remember.
And she says to him, because he's like, it sounds like you're being a little bit prideful. He's like, not prideful, only honest.
Yeah,
You've been a decent enough teacher, but this time the student has surpassed the lessons. Like, girl,
Too
you're
much.
like, you've been owned in 2 full lessons. I don't
No,
know who you
but
think
what's
you are.
important that while they're together, she has visions.
She
That's
does
why.
have it.
That's why.
It's this time.
Yes, during this training, she starts to have
Mhm.
visions that she's with the man, and
Yeah, so well, they start getting hot and heavy in this moment. She
Yeah.
pushes him up. She's doing the seduction. She's trying to own the situation,
yeah,
and then she snaps into a vision when they
yeah.
start
When
getting hot and heavy.
she thinks that she doesn't know if it's wrath. She doesn't know. She doesn't know if it's herself. She doesn't know if it's another woman with wrath. She doesn't know, but she sees them in like a garden area, and they're like going hot and heavy about it and that
Mhm.
stuff. So like that's important. She's still not trying to. She still doesn't know.
Yep.
Yeah, and so like at the time,
And then she doesn't want him to know, so she snaps
says
into it for a second. She snaps out
yeah,
of it.
she says she's confusing reality with illusion. For a startling
Mhm.
moment, I was in 2 places at once.
Mm-hmm,
And so yeah, so something strange was occurring, and it happened whenever Wrath and I were passionate. So every time they get like hot and heavy, something like she's getting these visions, but now they're becoming more clearer. And she says, I don't know if they're memories or illusions. And I've discovered another one of Wrath's secrets. Then I might have discovered another one of Wrath's secrets. Because she's getting these visions with Wrath, and so she's thinking she's seeing Wrath's secrets.
maybe seeing what he
when she's engaged in him,
mind.
and it's like she doesn't know how it could be possible.
And then she also thinks for a hot minute too that maybe what she's seeing is Pride's wife, and maybe
she just doesn't have an idea.
She has no
what
idea.
she's
She's
yeah.
throwing fucking
She's throwing shit to the wind.
Yeah, she's seeing what sticks is what she's doing.
Yeah. So then after that, she knows she is the person that is going to give out the biggest fear during the Feast of the Wolves. And now so she's headed there. She's headed now there.
Yep.
And she's supposed to go. She can't transvendio over there because there's rules against that shit.
Yeah, you can't just transport into their land.
You gotta use magical cart to get there.
Yeah, the
magical carriage cart
with your 4 horses that are
the 4 henchmen.
The 4
horses.
henchmen
Was
horses.
it,
okay.
What was it? Pestilence, famine, war, and death.
Yep.
So yeah, he's got the 4 horsemen of death as his horse.
Yep.
Or the horse. 4 horse of death, not 4 horsemen, because they're not horsemen, they're horse. So yeah. She's just like, what? And he's like, how do you not know that these stories came from my horses? Pretty much. No.
And now I like this. And so when she gets in there, and who's hosting it? Gluttony's hosting it.
Yeah, this is so funny. Gluttony's so funny.
I like Gluttony.
Yeah.
And he's known for his debauchery. So they get in. I think there's like a show of people like screwing or something right as they walk in.
Yeah, they're going crazy. They're going at it. And she's like, ooh, and she's envisioning her and Wrath pretty much and engaged in this stuff at the time. She's just like, oh,
she can't quit that. Well, in her defense, she hasn't really
experienced.
She hasn't really got nothing. I mean, she got a little taste, but she hasn't.
Yeah,
she's been like blue balled, if you will.
She did it herself, though. Come on, man.
But I like this conversation that he has with Gluttony, because Gluttony says. Basically, he's kind of flirting with her. He's like, "Oh, so you haven't accepted the marriage bond yet? So there's room for me yet." And Wrath responds, "I really like." He says, "Breathe in her direction without her express permission, and she will disembowel," because I love this, because he quote unquote learned his lesson instead of saying that he will disembowel you for doing it, because what was her request before? Don't weaken me to make you look stronger. So now he's saying, I love this. She will disembowel you. She's no threat to anybody, though. I don't know why.
Yeah, she's not.
I mean, in my opinion.
He's just trying to hype her up.
He's trying to hype her up. Yeah. I love this, though. I think it's so sweet. He really took to heart what she said and was like, okay, yeah.
So she's pretty much, she separates from Matt at some point, and her and I believe, no, I don't think her and Fauna at this point walk around. Not yet. But like, eventually they split, and
yeah, they go walking in the
I don't think it's in the gardens yet. Because as she goes to, maybe she walks in the gardens.
Yeah, her and Wrath go into the gardens, and they're talking for a hot minute, and then somebody shows up. I think it's one of the brothers shows up.
Lust. Oh yeah, Lust. It's either Lust or Envy. One of them wants to talk to him and leaves Amelia to go by herself. And that's when she gets a note from.
No, and then so that's when Gluttony's talking to her and basically saying,
oh, yeah, that's right.
He's basically kind of describing to her like, oh, they're gonna go on a hunt, you get a prize.
Yeah.
He's like, you should do this, and she's like, oh, I told you I don't ride, and he's like, oh, well, this year they're hunting an ice dragon. And as for riding, I'd reconsider. I found that sometimes our bodies recall what our minds do not. So that's interesting. So maybe insinuating, maybe at one point she did ride. So that's what's interesting. Yeah. So it feels like maybe Gluttony knows a little bit more of what's going on here, because like, why would he say that? He's insinuating to her that, at least I take it this way, he's insinuating to her, your body may remember something your mind doesn't remember. So I know you know to ride. So why don't you try it and see if your body remembers it?
Yeah, and like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the Feast of Wolves, but we're just gonna try to narrow it down to a point where it's like we're not kind of explaining too much of the like little intricacies here and there, because some of it's important and some of it's not, and a lot of it's just a lot of gluttony stuff going on. But she at one point gets a letter and goes right, it is told something about along the lines of, hey, you need to meet me here at this time, and pretty
wear
much
a mask.
Yeah, and Wrath and the brothers are gone to a hunt that's very ritualistic that they have to do. And so while they're gone for a hunt, she's supposed to meet down into this
somebody.
Yeah, and so she does, and it's Gluttony again.
It's Gluttony again, and there's no reason for the mask. He just wanted to see if she would do
it, and she did. And so she gets there, and he introduces her to one of the horses, which takes kind to her almost immediately. And she I think that's when Gluttony just kind of like goes away. Oh, he tells her, "Oh, you should go here and just take a ride and see what you see how you feel." Yeah, and so she's like, "I told you I can't ride," but he's like, "Just do it. Just go." And so she does. She gets on the horse and she recalls memories as she's on the horse, like of some person riding in the wind and having a good time. And so she does. She rides off, and she
in no particular direction. Yeah. Really. Well, I guess in whatever direction he kind of said.
Yeah. But it's almost like it's recalled memories of the horse as well. And so the horse takes her to an area where there's a bunch of black flowers.
Yeah, well, but there's a bunch of flowers that are growing there.
And so she gets off the horse and starts picking them. And the horse is like, no, let's get the fuck out of here. But no, she stays, picks flowers, and then she gets caught. No, she tries to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
And then tell her to dismount.
People come up on her and tell her to dismount. She's like, "Do you know who I am?" Yeah, or some stuff like that.
Blah, blah, blah. She's got, and this person that's yelling at her has got a scar on his face somewhere.
And they end up taking her to the castle, or to the prison in this castle. But it's like a high room or something in this tower.
So it's still really well like furnished for her. It's not like a prison.
It's not a prison. Yeah. Certainly she's not in prison. And she's there for a couple hours. I like that nobody... Oh, I guess they're off looking for the hunt. So Rat's not really like...
No, they're not there.
Looking for her.
So he holds her for a little bit.
And then just releases her.
And then she goes back, and then they have dinner.
Well, and then she has an interesting conversation with Gluttony, because Gluttony's there when she returns.
Oh, yeah.
And Gluttony picks one of the flowers that she ends up seeing. Like, he has one. Yeah. And he says to her, "You have in your possession a plant that most princes fear. You have no cunning designs to use them against us." And he tosses the pouch of slumber root, is what it is. Yeah. A scheme bigger, my friend. Lay your inner deviant free. I love this. He gives her some of his slumber root.
After he just told her how
it puts princes to sleep.
Yeah, and it's almost like he sent her there in the first place.
Yep.
And like he did that
because that's what she saw. She saw the slumber root,
which is really weird, because almost like she gets released from Pride's land. That's interesting. So did Gluttony?
Well, we didn't know.
Her?
Oh yeah, it was Pride's land.
She knew it was Pride's because he tells her. So like she's released from Pride's land, and so she knows the layout of the area. So she knows she gets released by permission. And Gluttony's. It's almost like these brothers are kind of like working with each other for a singular reason, which you don't know yet. Yeah. So anyways, they have dinner to go to. So they have the Gluttony dinner, or the Feast of the Wolf dinner, and during dinner they have like she's having random discussions, and she's even asking, "Is the devil here yet?" And everybody just like stops, like.
And Anir is kind of talking to her. I think he's talking to Anir and saying, like none of the essentially letting us know that not that the power can move from different princes, but never to a lower demon. And you can see throughout human history which prince has ruled the most, because that's what was like ruled. That's what was like happening. If wars were ravaging the lands in the human world, then Wrath was probably the prince at the time. So they do have that conversation. She learns all about that, and then she does ask about, is the devil here? And everyone's like,
what? Yeah, like what? Why would you ask that? Pretty much, like they all kind of stopped dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think she even asks who won the hunt, and they tell her Wrath won the hunt. So Wrath has now this prize.
We don't know what the prize is.
Yeah, they don't say.
And then I think this is when they come out, right? This is when
when the 7 brothers come out.
It's like a dance. They
come out like a dance.
Yeah, I imagine them like all on a dance floor.
Yeah, they're all wearing their wolf masks, and there's 6 of them standing, and at the bottom of a staircase, and she thinks the last one coming out is Pride.
Yeah, and then he comes up to her and
asks her for a dance, and Wrath is gone.
He's sort of Wrath disappears, and then he's sort of like kind of flirting with her. I mean, they're all kind of flirting.
Oh, she's flirting with him big time because she's thinking she could get information out of him that way.
Yeah, and she does the weirdest. She's the weirdest thing here.
She takes him to a separate area, kind of slams her body up.
Well, they're like they're dancing, and then she like swings him past these columns and these flowers and like into this. Like nobody's gonna notice that.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I think Envy did notice it.
Yeah, Envy does. He thinks it's hilarious.
But yeah, she's got him like
she's trying to be fucking sly about shit.
Yeah, girl, you were not sly.
Yeah, I see you. I knew what you were doing.
Yeah, and so she like pins him up against this thing and like semi-pretending
to make out with him so he could drop his mask, because she kind of sees a scar under the mask.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she takes him and gets him to drop his mask, and he's like, "I came here for kisses.
I came here for some fun, and you're asking questions."
Yes, it's like that. Yeah. Call her out, Pride. Call her out her shit.
Pride meet Amelia.
This is what she does.
This is who she is.
Yeah. Tell her she's stupid.
And she kind of calls him out. Like, why do you act drunk and aloof to your brothers, but really you're like out stalking and commanding your land or something to that effect?
Oh, I do have to say, I think he says something really, really interesting to her. Let me see. Maybe it's not that part. It says, oh yeah, he calls her. As soon as he sees her, he doesn't say, hey, Lady Amelia. He calls her, hi, Lady Vengeance.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he says that when he first meets her.
So
he calls her that immediately.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. She's been called the Daughter of the Moon.
Yes.
Lady Vengeance.
Lady Vengeance. And then he says, would you honor me with a dance? So yeah.
And
that's
so
very interesting.
So essentially from this meeting, she makes a bargain with him that she can cross into his land 2 times at any time that she wants, and he can't grab her or just throw her in a dungeon or whatever. And he says, fine.
Yeah.
And then she keeps a secret. Is that what the...
Yeah, she keeps his secret of
flowers.
The slumber root, because he's not supposed to have it.
He's grown a lot of it. He's got a whole field of slumber root.
So he's like, yeah, don't tell my brother, and I won't. And I'll let you go through my town 3 times, or
twice.
Through my kingdom twice. Yeah. So they do.
And then the scene...
So yeah, so right after that, it goes right into the secret sacrifice.
Now it's time for her to reveal her biggest
Envy
fear.
goes and finds them and is like, hey, I gotta take you over.
Yep, it's time.
Yeah, and so she goes up and starts to get ready, and they think they pinprick her. Cutting the hand again, always. So they cut her somewhere. The guy who's doing the service says, it's gonna just hurt a little, and so he draws blood, and as soon as she's about to get that, that whole thing done, Wrath just says, no, stop. Let that happen to me. I'll take it. I'll do it.
I volunteer as tribute. It's me. I do it.
Ridiculous.
It's just, come on.
Yeah, so the brothers are like, nope, and I'm just going to cut this short because it's ridiculous. They all go, nope, how about you guys just do the marriage bond? So
how about you guys just fool around?
Yeah. Forget the secret. We don't want that. We want you to do the deed.
We want you to sleep together.
Yeah. But they don't even really say that. They say a tryst.
A tryst. You need to have a tryst.
Yeah.
You can have it over here. You can have it over there.
You can have it in a box. You can have it in a box.
You can do it anywhere. Just please screw each other and get it over with.
So Wrath is like my bedchambers. They go in the bedchambers.
This is so stupid,
it's
though.
the dumbest
it's
thing.
Stupid that he volunteers himself, whatever. I mean, we saw that coming a mile away.
I feel like...
This is so dumb.
Yeah, I feel like the brothers are all doing something.
They're fucking
They're
with him
fucking with all over, like all over the place. They're messing with their brother Raph.
Oh,
They're like,
they're
I am
messing with him,
sensing this so
and they're messing with her
strongly.
too, just like you said. It's the cat and mouse.
Oh, it is
They're
the cat
messing
mouse
with her
game the whole time.
So yeah, they go to his bedchamber, and then she's like,
like,
well, we don't
have
to screw.
We don't have to fornicate. It's the wrong F.
We
That's what pretty much they say. It's the wrong F.
The wrong F.
We don't have to fornicate.
We can do all of the fun things without actually doing the marriage bond.
We can just have a tryst. And so yeah,
they do.
Around. Yeah, they do. And she goes, "Don't leave this room tonight. Don't leave me. Don't leave because I guess he leaves her all the time. Because she's stupid. I'd leave her too.
I wouldn't.
But yeah,
well,
so
he's got like so they do their thing. He pleases her. And she wants his trousers off because she's now again contemplating like, would it be so bad to marry him?
God!
And
what did she say? She says,
I'm gonna read it for you.
Okay,
I'm gonna read it for you.
Thank you.
So she wants his pants off. His pants come off, and they're getting real close. They're getting real close. Without his trousers on, his velvet skin slid over mine. The sensation pure gift. I would give almost anything to experience all of him right now, except my mission.
Like this girl.
Except he is literally rubbing himself all over you, and you're like,
nope,
I would do anything for this, but my mission.
What? Okay, if your mission doesn't involve, I don't even want to say.
Is he not doing it right? That's what you're thinking of? Like, I need my mission.
How could you stop to think about anything else but that?
I need my mission. It's such a lame line, too.
I would not be thinking about no mission.
She could have written this, if that's what she wanted to do, Carrie, you could have written this any other way. You could have said, my images of my sister popped up reminding me that I was here for a reason. Accept my mission.
Okay, let me explain. This is chapter 32, and this bitch is still talking about a mission.
Her mission?
Whatever it is, like I forgot about the mission until she brought that up. I was like,
I'm in it with Wrath, and here you are babbling on about your mission.
How do you even remember about this stuff? How do you remember your mission at this point? How? I don't remember.
Well, she does. I mean, this is her signature, right? Where she's deep into something, then she's asking questions, then she's thinking of all the stuff she needs to be doing.
So, anyways, yeah.
She
uses that stupid slumber root, puts it in the bottle.
She drugs him,
so he can put her. He's like Amelia, and the expression of betrayal on his face. You know,
I would be betrayed.
I'd be so mad. This girl talks about betraying every time.
It's her.
And she's betraying him. Like, I can't.
I don't understand her hatred and the betrayal, but every single time she's betraying him.
Every moment she can.
She's summoning him quickly back to his summoning circle after he saves her life. Yeah. He's doing all kinds of things over and over, and she's just like,
she blames him for getting a soul in the first book, and then she signs off to pride. She just keeps betraying him.
Yeah, whatever. She says, I'm never going to understand her reason for calling him a betrayer, but I will. I don't know why he doesn't call her a betrayer, because I see it.
He's not saying I see it because she's stupid. He's like, this bitch don't know the whole picture, so she's stupid.
So
now she takes it upon herself to do her mission, to go find
her mission.
Yeah, to go to she's decided that she wants to go to the curse tree.
The curse tree.
Yeah. So she could figure out what she needs to do from there. So she goes to the curse tree using the horse.
Yep.
So the same horse. So she goes through, and it's important that she notes that she goes through Pride's land because she has that. So she sensed that she was going to go there and back.
Yep. That's why she said twice.
So she goes there. She gets to the tree, and she's met with
the crone.
The crone. And the crone pretty much says to her,
I think she's asking like random questions that she shouldn't. And the crone
is
like,
no, these aren't the questions you want answered.
This is not what you want.
You don't really fucking know what you're wanting.
How about I tell you? Because nobody's apparently telling you, so let me do it. And so she does. She says that you need to learn about Wrath in order to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
And so she writes a name into the tree. And
she's trying to write what I believe she thinks is Wrath's true name.
Yeah, I did not catch that, but yes, that is what she did.
Because she says pretty much, after you carve his true name, take the leaf, you must shatter it in his presence if you are correct. So she pretty much tells her like, yeah, you know it. You know his name. You've just been denying it. Yeah,
and you can't use his house. You can't say Wrath. It has to be his actual name.
Yeah.
So she writes a name. She heads back to the house. He's there cooking dinner.
He's there making.
Well, he's making some sort of snack or something.
And he pretty much is like, did you not want it that bad that you had to do that or whatever? He's not let on to why she did it. she ends up telling him.
He doesn't know
He
why.
just
He
thinks
just feels
that,
betrayed.
Yeah.
He gave her his all again, and this bitch just being ungrateful.
And she goes, I made a bargain with the crone. And so that's when he starts to slowly realize.
And he's freaking out a little bit because he doesn't think she knows. He knows she ain't smart.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh no, what name did you put?
That's why he was like, okay, cool, this whole time. And then it was like, oh shit, no, she's getting a little bit. She's getting a little bit smart. She's trying to figure shit out. So that's when he starts to get upset, and he's holding on her, crying and getting worried because she puts the leaf on the table,
and then smashes it.
Well, she doesn't smash it. He tries to grab her and hold on to her, and she's like, nope, I know your truth, and he's like, nope, and he's getting really sad. And while he's holding on to her, she kicks the table.
That's right.
She kicks the table really hard to leave the shatter on the floor, and nothing happens.
Yep.
So nothing happened. So that means she found out his truth.
She knew the truth.
And so now she knows for a fact that Wrath is the devil.
The devil. He's Samuel.
And his name is Samuel. That's the first name she called him by when introducing him to somebody in the first book.
And I hate her again in this part because she knows his truth, and this girl can just not let go of everything she was told before. She knows him, again, and we know that his mantra for life is actions, not words. So so all he does is show his truth through his actions, and his actions have always been noble to her, have always been great. And then she's still sitting here but you're the devil. I can't marry you. You're evil incarnate.
And then she he says, well, do you know who I am? Do you not love me? But do you like me for who I am and all this other stuff? I'm this who, and he's like, I am this person. And she just doesn't answer. And he goes, pretty much, well, thank you. That's pretty much, he accepts her not speaking as his answer. And he just disappears.
Well, because he says to her, or she says to him, if you would have known this, would you have not come down here?
Yeah.
Would this have changed anything for you?
Yeah.
And she says, I don't know. It's a lot to absorb. You're the devil, evil incarnate.
Yeah.
And then he says, is that who you know? Is that who you know me to be, Amelia? Is that who I've shown you that I am? She says, outside of this realm, it's what everybody thinks of you. And he says, I'm not interested in what everybody thinks about me. You fucking child. What do you think about me? And of course she doesn't answer. He says, I have my answer.
And then he just leaves.
I fucking hate her.
It's super sad.
Come on, Amelia. You're so dumb.
Yeah, it's super sad. So after that, I want to say she heads to see Celestia, right? Right after that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because now she wants answers. Mm-hmm. But she thinks Celestia could give her those answers. So she does. She goes and sees her.
Mm-hmm. And she does learn who Celestia is.
Yes, as soon as she sees her, she goes, do you know who I am?
Mm-hmm.
And they tell her, she's like, yeah, you're the crone.
Yeah, so Celestia was the one who met her near the cursed tree. She is the crone.
And I want to say at that point in time, she pretty much tells her about the divine objects.
Yep, and where to get them.
Yeah, and where to get them and all this other stuff.
She says make sure that you're about to make a critical choice. You can't turn back from it, so make sure it's the choice that you want to make.
Yeah.
Super ominous.
And so she goes and she starts, she's like, don't forget, you need to find your truth. She's like, that's a very important thing. She keeps telling her, well, because she told her before. Mm-hmm. So, she decides that this is her new mission now. It's to get, now she got a new mission. It's to get the temptation key and
the 3 triple moon.
Yeah. And so she thinks she already found the temptation key. She thinks she knows where it is. Because when she was in Wrath's library, there was a big paperweight she thought it was. And she's like, that's it. That's it. That's the key.
It's the magical vibes again telling her truths. So she goes and grabs her triple moon, or the temptation key. And then she goes, she essentially goes back to
her room and thinks there's a mirror there that was the triple moon mirror. She tries to use it, but it doesn't work. And so she's resigned to being like, that's not it. Uh-huh. So I want to say at this point, that's when she starts going around the land and trying to figure things out. And she gets across,
I think she remembers seeing something in the very beginning near the sin corridor that there was this
cedar tree.
Yeah, there was a cedar tree, and I think she sees it. At least she makes note of it as she's walking into the sin corridor.
Yeah,
and that it looks like a group of witches or something up there or whatever. But so that's where she goes back, and then carved into the cedar is a number. Something is carved in there.
I can't remember what is carved, but it's a
Oh, it's a letter. It's the number 7 is carved
7
in
or
there.
8?
I think that's 7.
Okay, yeah.
And then so she is that the? I think that's the carving. Yeah, I don't know. She opens up this door.
Yeah, she opens the door and she goes down there
with her blood.
and she sees.
She slices her hand, puts it
Yeah.
on the number, whatever's
That's how
carved
it
in the
opens.
door. It opens. She goes down there. It is 7. It's 7 that's carved there because she's looking for the 7 something, the 7 sisters or the 7 7 stars, 7 sins. She thought it was the sins, but it turns out it's actually the 7 witches, or whatever. So she goes down there. All of them are down there. Celestia's down there, and they pretty much again tell her very ominously, make sure this is the choice that you want to step into.
You can't pretty much unsee it.
Yeah, and then also payment for this is my book. Bring my book back.
Yeah, and so that was the bargain that she had with the crone, and that she wanted the book. So after this, you got to bring the book back. So she pretty much looks. Does she look in the moon? Yeah, she looks in the moon.
Yeah, this shows the past, present, and future, whatever. And then what does she see?
She does see, but before that, she snaps her fingers or whatever and gives back her power to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Celestia gives her back her power.
So she gets out of there for a little bit, I want to say, because I don't think she goes to the moon mirror yet. I think she just sees the crone, because after that she gets up there.
No, I sunk to the floor inside the magic train, flipped through the spell book, and then out pops a letter or a note from Wrath that says, "Some truths not grant you the freedom you seek." So again, somebody telling her this might not be what you're looking for.
Okay. And then she does look in the mirror.
And then she looks in the mirror.
And she sees her sister.
With Antonio.
Yeah, with Antonio. And she's just like, what the fuck? So my sister's alive? And now she's furious.
Yeah, she's a little... I was confused because I was thinking... Because you could see past, future, or present. So we don't really know what we're seeing here.
Well, the only reason why she knows is because she's with Antonio and she's in that room.
She's with Antonio. She's in that room. I was still unsure if what she was seeing was truly her sister.
I figured it was, because immediately Vittorio was like saying to Antonio, we got to stop talking.
Yes.
And so, because she heard her sister calling. Her sister was calling her through the mirror.
Yeah, her sister says, "Come to the shifting aisle, sister. Yes. We have much to discuss without breaking the remainder of our curse. Answers await your arrival. Until then, stand back." Yeah. And she stands back, and it was a skull. Yeah. It was the third skull. Yeah. She sent her skull in it. Because she went over there. So she sees them. Yeah. She runs back to the house to go run up there to where Antonio is. Antonio's gone. Her sister's not there. The skull's there. She hears that. The skull explodes. And also Anir pops up looking for her and says, hey, Wrath couldn't find you. You weren't there. He couldn't sense you. So he went to find her. And then that's where Wrath and her end up seeing each other, I think, in her bedchamber, or Wrath's bedchamber. Yeah, because Wrath couldn't sense... The only place he can't sense her is the Sin Corridor. And so that's where he went. Yeah. And then, of course... That's where he was. She wasn't there. She was down... She wasn't in the Sin Corridor. No. She was in Yeah. So she couldn't be seen. I mean, but she was close to it because that's where the thing is. But anyway, so then they have their moment of, I choose you, their love moment of when they actually say, I love you, let's consummate our... Yeah, they were going to consummate. They're getting really close. They were going to consummate. And the book ends. The book ends. They never finished, never anything. She's just like, come here. If you were to choose me, come here. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. And the book ends. Yeah, it's over. It's done. I don't hate it. I mean, I would hate it if I didn't have the third book, which we did. Yeah, so you're going to dive right into the third book. Yeah, so, we did, which will be later. Yeah. We'll discuss that later. But yeah, so this book ended, and my overall likes of this book, I would say, was I did like the scene in the Sin Corridor. I did like the part with the training. And I love the brothers kind of playing the cat and mouse game. They're still doing it, but they're doing it a little bit more obvious, where you can kind of tell now they're doing something to work together to break a curse. Yeah. You could tell, obviously, because something's happening, and they know it. And I like that they're hinting a little bit more that, hey, we know a little bit more about you than you know about you. Yeah. I enjoy that. At least I got that just from Gluttony. Yeah, because he was the one who gave her the writing thing. Yeah, so, I also really did like the kind of cat and mouse situation. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, my favorite part, we already mentioned. I mean, it is 100% the training with Wrath, and every time he sort of gave it to her. Like, 100% him finally teaching her lessons that she needed to learn, even though she didn't get it. Like, I still don't... He did a great job. He couldn't have performed any greater. She's just unteachable. But yes, so I loved that part. My hate is still Amelia. I cannot stand her.
I can't stand Amelia. I would say the only thing I hated about this, because, there's really not a whole lot that I really just could not stand, but just Amelia. I would say Amelia, and the fact that she still thought she was the best thing on earth. Like, come on, like, Jesus.
She's literally the death of this book.
Yeah, she really is. And even when she finally started gaining some perspective on what was really going on, she still didn't gain enough for me to be like, finally. No, she just little glimpses of it. Like we were talking earlier, but no, she's definitely my hated too. I hated it so much.
And I still feel like, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of like ups and downs for this of like building, but the things that were built up sort of again still kind of fell flat for me. The fact that we built up this betrothal as the big reveal that him and Celeste are arguing about, that was annoying. It just still feels sort of like immature. Like, it's like, this is book 2 and I'm still feeling that I'm not super shocked by a lot of things. I mean, I guess there's a big reveal here too that like Celeste is the crone, but also I don't really know how that ties into a lot of things. It's really foggy, that whole situation of what's going on. I think it's supposed to be foggy because we still don't know. How am I in the end of book 2 and I still don't know anything about the curse? I feel as though we didn't really learn much.
No, we didn't really learn much.
We have more questions.
We know that Wrath is the devil. I think that was the biggest like secret reveal of the whole thing. And she's
but that wasn't too shocking.
Devil. Yeah, no, she accepted it and it was like, we already knew. But
there were signs.
Being that was the biggest reveal still wasn't the biggest reveal. I mean, it was kind of...
She was dressed in his clothes, walking down there from Pride.
The whole
also,
time.
The fact that he bullied himself, he bullied rules in other houses. So, like when he showed up and he told Envy, no, I'm gonna take her to the house, and Envy withdrew, and he did something else with Gluttony too, where Gluttony said, no, we're gonna do this, and he's like, no. So there was some, like, it wasn't shock that it was Wrath.
No,
that was the devil.
It was not shock. It was not shock at all. But yeah, so I would say my overall rating of this would be I go with 3. I go with a 3. Because mostly, it still had really good. It had good smut in it. It had good storyline in it, but it felt like it wasn't enough to be like, oh yeah, good reveals, So the storyline was pretty good.
I also agree. I think a 3 is a solid thing to give it. I didn't hate the book. I was really glued into it for more than just wanting to finish it. I actually enjoyed it because I think most of the smut was pulling me through it because it was just chef's kiss.
Yeah. And she wrote it really well.
Yes, and while we're on, I'll just give my spiciness rating too. I would say 4.5. And the smut was so good.
The smut was really good.
And it was really the teasing. It was the fact that, I mean, we never really came to full fruition here, all the way to the end of the book. I mean, we still haven't really done it. Yeah. But the teasing never felt like repetitive. The same thing kept happening. We kept building and then it was taken away from us. And then we would build again and it was taken away from us. But the first time it's an illusion. The second time she's experiencing pain. The third time it just didn't feel repetitive. And and each time we were getting closer. Each time we went a little bit farther and more was happening and then it would get taken away from us. I loved that so much. She did that brilliantly.
Yes, I agree. I want to give it more of like a 3.5 to almost a 4, but the only reason why is because 1, they never finished, which is like, to me, it's like, okay, that's fine, but like, oh my god, so many times I felt like I gotta stop because like this is too much. And the first time was an illusion, so like, do I really count that? And
yes.
My favorite time is the illusion, so it's like I just narrowed it down to like a 3.5, only because it's like the first time really didn't count, but it counted. So like, I don't know if it counted, I would have given it a 4, but it doesn't count. So it's like,
I count that. I count that any moment that I'm like, ooh. Ooh.
I mean, I count it as the thing, like, it was great, but, like, it wasn't real. So I gotta put it down. Just a half point. So it's, like, 3.5 on me because of that. But other than that, I mean, she deserved it. And it's not that I didn't agree with that. I think she deserved it. But it's like, god damn, it made me feel a certain way. That's why I was like...
That's the thing. That's why this book, I think, gets a 3, is that the only thing, I didn't feel anything in the first book. There, no sense of emotion was really in the first book. I wasn't angry. I was angry. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't.
For the wrong reason.
I was just. I was wrathful the entire time during the first one. And then during the second one, at least I experienced another emotion. And the only time I experienced those other emotions was during these scenes. That was the moment where, like, I'm having physical reactions to things, like your heart's pounding, your, like, palms are getting sweaty. Like, the things that you enjoy reading books for is living in this alternate reality. And that was the only time I was sucked into that with these books, which makes it good because I didn't experience any of that.
Yeah.
And I don't need it to only be smut that's causing these emotions, but that's the only way apparently Carrie can manifest that for me.
She does such a great job
with just the smut though, because any other scene I'm not feeling nervous or anxious or worried about these characters. There's no other emotions that's happening, so the only thing that's dragging me through this is literally these emotions. Yeah. So, you know, I'll give her a 4 for that. I'm all here for it. I enjoyed the tease. I really liked it, and that's a lot of what drives me through books anyways, is that tease. I like that slow burn. Yeah. So this was like slow burn on ecstasy.
It was a lot. It was a lot for me to handle. I was like, oh my God, I can't. So yeah, that's why I gave it that rating. But okay, well, this was the end of our episode. This is the end of the book. So we really enjoyed having discussed this with you. If you enjoyed it as well, like and subscribe so you can see us every Wednesday. Next week we'll be talking about Kingdom of the Feared.
Yeah, I mean, we're already this deep.
We might as well, right? Yeah, so.
Thank God it's only 3 books.
So if you would like to keep the discussion going with us, please comment below. And we'll be seeing you next week. Thank you. Bye.